not even long ago, even recently, moved more recently in the 50s, in the 40s, simply because of this Osukas system, which, so it is a negative thing. It is something that does us no good as individuals, as a people, and it is something that is totally baseless and senseless. So it is something our parents, our fathers, our mothers, or the older generation might have done these things. But in this generation, we need to know. This is the generation of information. We need to know where did this thing start so that we can know how to correct it and stop this thing from continuing. So that is for that. Now,
Um,
who is Ume? Hello? Somebody wanted to say something.
Jimmy, you're actually saying something that are not historical to Igbo people. Osu was never revered. I'm surprised you're saying these kind of things. Osu.
I am.
doctor, please, I muted you, okay? Just chill, okay? The reason why
Well, well, uh,
barrister, can correct. The reason why like so that can go around up because of those like doctor. So you have your time, you're a doctor, I'm a doctor, so let's try to PhD more my own. So barrister, because round up, can we can.
okay, I will conclude. Anybody who wants to disprove me could bring alternative facts, but this is what it is. You can research. I don't like people coming online, simply to share their biases, without doing a basic research, because a basic research could have shown you this. Even you looking, even common sense, commonsensical research, which shows you the amount of people who bear Osu in their names, would have told you that this thing was not something. People don't bear something that does not have big relevance and as a common name. But for people to bear it commonly shows you that it was something of it was something of reverence and not something of negative. I think these things are so basic. So that is for that. That is for that. Any other person can try to disprove me, but I want people to research this and prove me wrong with facts. Now that is for that. Then when it comes to now, when it comes to me, and when category of now, what does the word ume mean? It means it comes from imehe, to do, to do. Usually in the Igbo society, and where people have, probably done things, they have opportunity. It's just like anywhere where people can, okay, somebody marry, after a while, you buy your freedom. You buy your freedom. So that's how, okay, now
Common
I'll come to
sense,
the next
common
one.
sense. You buy your freedom with common sense. Common sense, common sense. You buy your
Onyara, riffraff. Onyara. Why go about this guy here? Oh God, this guy, the other guy, my mom open in India and a full logo. Get out of here. Because barrister, go on.
Can't try around or up, but yam could be very important. That's why I wanted us to. So ume wundi like ndi metari here. And in Igbo society, and where different ways of like onye jiugwo. This thing, Anna, the ume thing could even be just onye jiugwo. Do you understand? So it's not as if the person committed a crime. So now for ume. Indeed, let's even take it. Most of the people who first came to America were criminals in UK who were taking them. That was the best. That was how they populated the United States. So, and today, these are people we hold, to as people of high we revere or something. We don't even look at the past of their ancestors. So it is total bunkum that people now, still carry these things into today. So ume, it could be somebody do work. Then within that time, or now maybe that once onye be nwere ike kwụọ dị ụgwọ, or there are different ways onye ike based on oji ụgwọ, asị na ọ ga-aserve onye for a number of years based on oji ụgwọ ahụ. And that was the what was now recreated after the war to this but in a different way to this Igba boy system, but Igba boy abụrụ na onye aji ụgwọ, don't get me wrong, but what I'm saying is it is the concept that was modernized into Igbabo. So what it used to be, Buna, onye ji ụgwọ or onye metere or something, will over time buy his freedom. So it was not a perpetual thing. It was never meant to be a perpetual thing. So that's for the human system. That one not nowhere. Then anyway, the category which they call Ohu, the same way that because Akum Makeba boy. Now, if they say no, there, indeed, let me even mention something about the one Hana Ohu. A good number of people who are called Ohu were never Ohu of anybody. It is just that these people came in, we are not part of the initial community. Maybe this community was formed, and when the business akia, so the term was used as a loose term over time, to call this category of people. So a lot of these people we are never Ohu of anybody. We are never Ohu of anybody. So, of course, we know the ordinary meaning of the word Ohu, or another meaning. But what I am saying that is, even at that, a good number of the people called Ohu today, or branded Ohu by certain people who want to discriminate, we are never Ohu of anybody in the real sense of the word. In the real sense of the word. And let's even look at it. Let's even take that word into context. The people today who formed the Opobo Kingdom, where the governor of Rivers State came from, we are people who were taken there. The Igbo people who were taken there as Ohu, as slaves. As slaves. Today, one of them has become a governor. And it is of no issue among the Ijaw society, which they now claim. And these are the roots of these deniers and among Ndi Igbo. Because when people now see that among their own people, they are seen as inferior, they will start denying. So even at that, you see that despite the history of these people, which is known to everybody, nobody sees them as inferior human beings. So why do we still do this? Why do we still hold on tenaciously to these things? So what I think, Bona, we should lay more emphasis on teaching these things right from primary school to our kids. There was a question I asked my teacher when I was in primary school, and I could remember that question. She was baffled. I told her in this textbook, because we had a textbook that dealt with, I think, social studies. Somewhere that social studies had a part, talking about history of kingdoms in Nigeria. The shameful thing they have in Southeast, and I think it is still the same till today, because our educators have refused to improve themselves, have refused. If ever remember, I just copy here, and then now now, if you are in Southeast school or you schooled in the Southeast, please, you will bear me witness. Aga kuziri gi maka Oba, kuziri gi maka Oba of Benin, kuziri gi maka Oni of Ife, kuziri gi about Sultan, kuziri gi about Kano, but nobody will teach you about your own. Nobody will teach you about Igbo culture. Nobody will teach you what this thing means in detail. Nobody. What they will do is they will just copy what is in the other. So I asked the teacher, how come you are teaching us in Southeast? You are teaching us about what other people's culture. You have not taught us about. Enjoy. Anyway, question enjoy. Ajomi gwaga ebe ndi Oduduwa Sibia. Gwa ebe ndi Ugwu Sibia. Where they originated from. Because gwagodi anye ke ebe anyị nwa bụ ndị Igbo Sibia. How did we originate? How are we where we are today? The teacher had no answer to me. You understand? So that was when I was even a kid. And this is still a problem till today. We do not teach this thing. And somehow somebody thinks that by making a law, the law will solve all the problems. No, the law is good. But you need to go a step further to start teaching these things from primary school, telling these young people that nobody should be able to restrict another person from his rights, both politically, socially, maritally, or otherwise, based on circumstances of birth, that it is not allowable under Nigerian constitution. It is not also in the interest of even the person who is discriminated. So, this is how we will solve this problem. If not, we are just trying to, and then government also need to make further effort. Like I mentioned here Ali Gurube. He was actually the person who mentioned it first. There was a governor in Enugu State who I know about it. That's why when Igurube was speaking, I was confirming it. I know about it. There was a governor in Enugu State who made conscious effort to unite the state in that regard. In that regard, He can other issues with him, but that is for you and him. But on this issue, I know the efforts, the directed efforts make in that regard to resolve that problem. So that is also what governments should do. Make serious effort. You can't just be preaching what you are not doing. Make serious effort, and then also start teaching it right from kindergarten. Let children be aware that these things are totally baseless, totally senseless, and should not continue. Daalụkwanụ ka hand be over ka ọ ghara ịdị ka anyị na-ekwu too much.
Nah,
Daalụ.
guy, Uguru baby come where FM talk man. I'm not how many governorship court case this guy handle go already. Because I want
Biko,
to
um, um,
appeal go
Ogbuefi,
genuinely appeal go big
Ogbuefi, biko, ị ajụ Vincent. Vincent nụkwa ife niile ekwu ọkwa maka ije
Akiba, Akiba,
ọgbakọ
11-11.
nke Holy Trinity here.
Unab nwere problem. Unab nwere problem. I will kick you people out of this place. Can you just start settle outside? Then we settle to Nabata. Because Jimmy Jat, Barrister Jimmy Jat, and
Yeah,
also
daalụ.
on my FM talk, on my FM talk before Dr. Ken, because Dr. Ken wanted to reply some things you said earlier. But Dr. Ken, let me bring your temper down, okay? Because over the
No, me and
highlight
Jimmy
your
are cool.
policy.
Me and Jimmy are cool. No worries. Me and Jimmy are cool. We know ourselves.
Yeah. Okay. But John Chalo, you will soon speak. About highlight nke politics. If you go on where Jimmy Jati could ever that everybody should be treated equal. Here I am now going to APC. Nyere m
Maka
governorship
ije
ticket
nga
a.
maka ije nga
Nyere m
ije
governorship ticket a na Anambra State. I will collect it. If you go here, Iguru biko ọ bụ na ya inwe mouth na APC. Help one talk to ndị a ha nye m tiketi ahụ ihe a na-eme n'azụ m ọ dịrọ mma because of Nancy from minority ha chinara m my rights. Everybody should be treated equal, and even if na mbụ abroad m osu nwe sef na-ekwu okwu ya okay na ngwa ewere ya na-aja nye customer. I'm not happy igwurube gị ka m na-agwa nke a personally ngwa national committee workers ha nye m this ticket I can deliver soludo m ga-anapụta nwunye a o ji n'aka. Dr. Ken Dr. Ken biko Dr. Ken, biko ihe ya agwa anyị okwu na talk to us in a calm way. I'm a title man. You don't shout for me.
biko dọkịta constitution kwu ịbịa ebe a balụ ndị osu mba ijebe ntụtụ
Ịbịa ebe a karịa ndị osu awụ abụrọ m onye Enugu ihe bụ onye Anambra steeti so we don't support osu ịghọta onwe ihe gbasara m na osu in fact onwe ihe Jimmy Jat kwuru ebe a I said it earlier ndị a na-eme na osu mee nke osu mee nke ha na-atakwa nwa ndị osu mana o ruo na marriage ha ma nlụ ndị asị nọ mana
Obi ya n'isi. Sophie 11,
ọ dị mma ọtụta mana ọ dịrọ mma ọlụlụ
touch ya toe
thought at home. Biko ka anyị nụ let's hear from Dr. Kenike. Dr. Kenike, before you go on, biko ọ bụrụ na ebe anyị ekelere gị ewe n'iwe anyị ji one serious issue n'aka anyị chọrọ ka anyị unite everybody ọtago let's unite ka anyị hapụ
obodo isu anyị eji ka anyị ghara ikene sweet angel biko
mba ọya ka nchọrọ eme m ji ya si nche ike onwe ọya ka m ji
ọsị anya bụrụ na Tinubu go solar panel tinyezie everywhere ugo greet you.
biko before doc ekwu okwu ka anyị nabata ndị mmadụ na space anyị yọtago anyị na-ekene unu for joining us this evening ka anyị wee kpaa ihe jọrọ anyị yọtago ọkụmọchị akwafu m egwuregwu mụọ nọ na ana mbe gwa ha nke m gwa ha igurube daalụ sọ thank you for joining us today. Dr. Kenike daalụ Vincent 1211 nwa anụ a na-akpọ nwaanyị agba my brother iwe na-ewe gị since I will kick you out and you know me now this guy na-akpọ nwaanyị agbanị inwe luck na your father na around if not that he's around here na ịma ka o si adị Jimmy thank you for being here again. At least you speak from the law side. Then John the Baptist, thank you. Mazi Ezuoke. Mazi ọ dị gị bụ onye agụ atọ onye side be anyị. Daalụ sọ ndị be anyị na-eme ọfụma afọ m female ebe anụ daalụ. Oxford, thank you for joining us. Sweet Angel, Adeji Ejemba, Ada ndị Igbo ji etu ọnụ daalụ sọ keep doing what you're doing ọ bụrụ ezigbo mmadụ. Biko Jimmy ihe anyị kwu na ndị na Amerịka bụ ndị na-ezu ori nna my sister adịghị ezu ori ma ọnkụ na Amerịka adịghị ezu ori ịghọtago So onwe m ụmụnụ na Amerịka ha dị ezo ọ bụ na UK ka i kwuru okwu m sị gị yes UK
Mba
na ha
mba mba, ọ
nwere
bụghị ọhụụ m na-ekwu
yes,
o. Mba mba mba, ọ
ha
bụghị ihe
nwere
m na-ekwu.
so
Dee ihe m
biko
na-akọwa. Ana m akọ based on the history.
anyị ghọta this guy barrister nke gị a ihe ekpegbu m taa
Okay, sorry. A na-ịghọta ihe m
So,
na-ekwu.
yeah,
Okay.
Chief Ebuka,
Nsogbu.
thank you. Chief Ebuka Dalusa for Chief Chief Akari, Chief Ochendo one, proudly Igbo man. Nice one. I love that. Dalusa. Thank you for being here. Chief Area Boy, Blood of Jesus. Ian na Fukweba, na go na this you. Bro, whatever you did, they don't catch you. Dalusa. Bonjour. Na nwa agwagwa ya akpa afa ndị nke a maazị Mafaraga. Bonjour, Dalu. Cloud, okay, Cole Jude, Dalo, Ivy, Uche, Fort, Pen, Ukeria, Badi, Tonda Babuogu, isi Awolowo, ha, na ndị Igbo na-achọkwa okwu, kekwe nke isi Awolowo kwa. Dr. Nobody, I see you, Adebayo, welcome, Ebuka, Knight, Deka, Cole, Peter, Obata, Biafra Light, okay, Eche, Ojiefi, Global, ha, nne gbagote na ọkwa mmụọ ka a na-akpọ Dr. Ogbuefi gbagote no the gun, right? The gun or Dagonro, Chidera, Udoka, and the remaining 21 people that we are not seeing. You guys are welcome to the space. KOB, you're welcome. Who again? I know call, I beg, no verse. I know see
Ndị osu na-akpa nkata. Adebayo.
Ijele, ịmụ ịchọwa okwu ya nọ nwayọ, ịmụ ịchọwa okwu ya nọ very soon na atọ ọnụ ọhịa ọzie bigotry anọkwa m na bigotry ịchọwakwa okwu onye nke a na-adịgoza isi awụlọwo na-achọ okwu up and down ụbọchị agha dịra gị a na-asị na ka anyị sọpọtụ nwanne anyị mma akwụkwọ ya eziokwu ọkwa enwe na
Anasị Igbo ebe a, anafọ Adebayo.
ọga mma drọp kwago anọdụdụ adị m emekwa ihe mpi anya biko Dr. Kenige biko
Ikenebe host are you?
oge host chukwu kpọọ gị na host ahụ ọ dị ka isi adịghị m n'ahụ Doc, hello Doc, nke na-eme Doc, ifugo ya na-eme ndị mmadụ
No, anọ m ya ekene nkwa m unu. Mụ abụ onye
brother,
Anambra
thank
tụ mana abụ
you.
m onye saịdị njikọ ọka.
Oge ịbụ onye njikọ ọka akwa ị na-anọta village because aghọtazikwe m njikọ ọka nke unu akwa nke anụwa ndị mmadụ na-akpatasi ego sorry gaa n'iru
Mba o, na-anata ọfụma. Abụ m akwụkwọ na DMGS, so ama m ebe afọ ọfụma.
ego na GMGS.
Yep.
Hey, that's good.
DMGS adịkwa na njikọ ọka.
Ọ bụrụ ọ sịrọ na ọ dị na njikọ.
Agụmakwụkwọ na DMGS Onitsha na njikọ ọka. How is the distance? Biko.
No, a na-ajụ gị ma ị na-anatakwa vileji. So ajụọ gị ma ị na-anata Ọnịcha.
Na-anata village.
Ị na-anatakwa village ọhịa a na-ajụ gị dọgụ. Ị na-asa adịkwa ọhịa dị alọ village.
Okay.
All right. Let's hear from you.
Okay, so the reason why I came up is because prior to my coming to Twitter, what I used to do on Clubhouse was Igbo history, politics, and that's all. So if it's for Igbo books, I've read enough Igbo books, So even I put up some links. So, and I put up only the links of Igbo people that have done work on the Osu system. Whether it is the book of Elizabeth Isichie, whether it's Olida Ikwaino, whether it is the two books I respect, Thomas Basden and a man called George Basden and a man called Thomas Northcote, or even Bauki. There is no book that disagrees on the concept of the Osuka system. Now, what does that mean? There's no history that disagrees on how the Osuka system came about. They were not revered people. You cannot remove the Osuka system in Igbo land and not point to one thing, the Igbo spirituality and religion, ordinary. So the question you ask yourself is, how did people become Osu? Simply, voluntary dedication, death, and by what is called infection. But what does voluntary dedication mean? Now, if you remember, when Igbo people practice their spirituality, whether you practice ordinary, anything you practice, there were laws that were kept in place. Now, if you contravene against the abomination, for example, you rape your mother, or you rape God forbid, you rape anybody close to you, There were stiff penalties. Some of those people that did those things refused to obey the laws, and they know they now dedicated themselves to slavery. So let me repeat it again. To slavery to the gods. So at no point in time was the Osuka system debatable that they were never revered people. Again,
No. Kanike, you are mixing up things.
hold on, no, Jimmy,
Your
hold
school
on.
was never
You're not telling me
placed
mixing
on
up things.
commission of
This is
crime.
something that I've read
No, that is what the white
It's not
missionaries
about
told
white
you.
people. Jimmy, I beg,
No,
hold on. Let me finish.
allow
Jimmy,
them to
hold on.
talk
Barrister
now.
Jimmy,
Hold on.
let me finish
This
that
has
now. Let
nothing
him
to do
finish,
with white
please.
missionaries. I didn't post any white book because of what you say. These are
There are
Igbo.
three categories. You are talking about Ume,
Hold
and
on, I'm
that's
not
why
talking
I
about
mentioned
Ume.
the three
That is what I'm
categories.
saying.
People are
Let me finish.
mixing things.
If you go here and MNIF, allow him to land. Or land there, retire. Simple. Man, if you keep on jumping on him like this, I get them email cookie. Calm down, back. Open on I put it to you now. You win the case. Allow him to land. Once all land, you use his weak point. Pure wires. I dey like one keep once you the point. Ndị mmadụ are they happy with you? Allow this young man. Take an advantage of this guy. More, we are trying to bring everybody together. Let him do his own. After doing his own, which you will come, you just raise up your hand and say, "Nah, let him you. Your time to correct," which we will accept diligently. Yeah, allow this guy to talk. Ibu barrister, I'm a doctor, more a doctor, and let us respect our profession. Oh my God, now even on your boyfriend, I'm getting space in here and yours. Ma onye ọgba ọgwụ, all these things I na try bring everybody one umbrella. So Dr. Ken, biko, I shout on me, don't shout on me. Just talk peacefully. People will listen to you. Nobody will rush you. But open a shout. So I wrote book about human policies on how to communicate. Man, open in a shout, people will always come against you. But once you are talking gently, people will listen to you. And even if they want to counter it, they'll counter with to you in a soft voice. So you have the floor, please,
Thank
doctor.
you, Professor. I wasn't shouting. Jimmy was interrupting me. Jimmy, again, you're not an expert on this. I put people who have done I mean, these are Igbo people. They are not also, again, if there's anything that most of the authors of agree on, there are other things that they disagree. The extent of slavery, how slaves were sold and purchased, the extent of traditional practices. But if there's anything, a majority, and if you go to Suka, where you finish from Apsu, people have done cases on these things and they've written on it. At no point in time was the Osuka system a revered thing because it was seen as a punishment for people who voluntarily dedicated themselves to slaves because of most of them committed crimes that they did not want to pay the consequences for. And the social exclusion was not done by the church. It was done by fellow Igbo people. It was fellow Igbo people that did the social exclusion because of the people that practice our traditional spirituality. He had not, I mean, I mean, if you guys have posted links, these are not white people. Don't tell me why. Don't do all those white things. You read history, you digest it, and you can remain indifferent. You don't need to be, you can remain indifferent about it. You don't need to agree with it. It's not affecting you. Now, the question about history, again, I don't know what you people spend your time doing. But when I pick history, history is not palatable sometimes. So you have to look at it dispassionately. It would not flatter your ancestors. It might patronize them, but sometimes it doesn't flatter them. The reason I speak about this is that if you bring all historical books about Igbo people, which we've done, that's what me and my brother used to do on Clubhouse, you would see things that you don't necessarily agree with. And I'll give an example, High Chief. Olida Iquaino. The reason why people like me don't believe what Olida wrote is that he was 7 years old when he was taken. Because Kanju Kenegi, how many things can a 7-year-old get Luther? That he's writing a book. So some things you write, you like, you cannot you cannot cross check this with any other historical document that any other Igbo person or any other people have written about Igbo people. But when it comes to the Osuka system, there is no minority report. All of them write almost the same, exactly the same thing about the caste system, meaning that there's no deviation, there is no quiet coast about it. I've posted links. People, PhD, UCL, University College History. There's a PhD holder there, Dr. DJ. I know him. There's a guy on Twitter here, Bright, Dr. Bright. I can ping him if you guys want him. He's written books, Dr. Bright. There's a girl called Dr. I don't know if she's in this space, Olisekwe. I can ping those people. Those people have come and given, they've written books. These are PhDs. She's doing a PhD. She's finished a PhD in Wyoming. These are people that have written books and talked about these things several times. So I'm not here to quarrel. Is that there's enough evidence, anthropological evidence, to show that these things, how the Osuka system, it's not opinion. I'm not giving an opinion on this. I've posted sources. You asked about sources. I've posted sources. I've posted Trisha Wabwani. Not that I believe Trisha Wabwani, because what Trisha does is that she uses outrage to generate money for herself. To come and talk about her father who was a slave driver. But we all know the people that did most of slavery in Igbo land. It wasn't hinterland, it was Tiaros, right? So I don't want to. So this idea that no, is that when it came to slavery, every Igbo author wrote the same. When it came to Osu, every Igbo author wrote the same. There was no dissenting opinion on how Osus were made. They were people who dedicated themselves to serving the gods, because most of them did not want to pay the consequences of the crimes that they committed when we practice Igbo traditional spirituality. Simple. Some of them were purchased as slaves, great, but the majority of them were ndị melalu, natural kugwo, ndị melalu, people that committed crimes that were unforgivable. For example, if you rape your mother, if you kill your brother, if you do things that were terrible, they were abominations, you rape your daughter, you would either you pay the consequences, or because they didn't want to pay the consequences according to Ordinana, they decided to dedicate themselves to serving the gods. And that is why when they did those things, they were socially excluded. It was we Igbo people. If it happened in your place, like for example, High Chief in Anambra, that was not really a common thing, right? So also was not a big thing in Anambra, or let me not say Anambra, in people that call themselves Anambra now. So because everybody was not a state. But in places like places in Imo, it was common. It wasn't a common thing in Anambra. Maybe the spirituality we practice was different, or we're not that adherent, I don't know. But when it comes to the Osu, it is how people, so the social exclusion was the bad thing. And once these people were excluded, it became difficult for them to reintegrate into society. So I've posted, I can post 100 Igbo authors. And the 100 of them, when it comes to Osu caste system, there will never be a dissenting opinion. They will never write anything different about the way the caste system happened. It was a caste system. Because people felt that, what is it called? You did this thing. So if I ask them, what was the punishment for people committing abominable crimes in Igbo land at that time? What was the punishment? It's either death, social extrication, or if you refuse to pay the sacrifices, you go and dedicate yourself to the gods, and they will separate you, and they live together. That's why. So that's what happened. So coming to no, this is a recent Osu. Many people have written books about it. It's not my opinion. Again, if you say you wanted sources, posted, and I didn't post any white person, before you say, oh, you're listening to the white man. These were Igbo people who had done their research, who had done their PhDs, written books, done their own research. Why would post me a different source that says that Osuka system was not what I just said? Everybody that wrote about it wrote the same thing about the caste system. Like I said earlier, the Osu caste system is something that most Igbo authors agree on. There's no debate about. They don't debate. They don't debate the other things that Igbo people debate on. For example, the reason why, as an Igbo person, I will not listen to a lot of things a man called George Basden wrote, who was a priest who lived among us for years, was because George Basden is the person that promoted this notion that Igbo people are Jewish people. He's the one. He'll come and write things like, oh, these people are so special. Oh, they keep the, what is it called? Circumcision. Anasonka, 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 Anasonka. And he was now equating those things with what the Jewish people did, and promoted that these people are from Jews. So people that read him say, oh, maybe he's saying the truth. Then, of course, a lot of people bought that idea that I believe. So I don't want to get into that history because it is complicated. Another person that I like to read is the reason why I read another man called Thomas Northcote that wrote Among the Igbos was because not only did Thomas Northcote go around towns, I don't know where you're from, High Chief, but my town is in his book, Pictures, in the early 19th century. 20th century. There are pictures, there are music, there are people. This guy sat down because he was an anthropologist, wrote down how we even did things, how we did sold slaves, how we did our market days, wrote down these things. No other person documented Igbo people like Thomas Northcote. You don't need to believe him, though, because you can say he's a white man. But to other Igbo people, Elizabeth Isichei, she was not even Igbo. She was from Australia, but she married an Igbo person. Then we can go to other Igbo people. For those that listen, other Igbo authors, many did their PhD, wrote about separatists. But when it came to the Osu caste system, there was no dissenting opinion. They all wrote the same way how the caste system came to be. Thank you very much, High Chief.
All right.
Because
Thank you. Thank you.
Yam Chang, let me respond to him. I think it's a misunderstanding of what I said, that raised all of what you said, because what you said and what a number of people, and the problem with academics in this country is that people do not go deep. When people write, sometimes, so you have a mistake, a confusion when you read those things, because they don't even understand what, and a good number of people who write about things don't even understand. Now, let me explain myself so that you understand. Now, if you understand me, probably you will not even have argued with me, because there's no point. It's totally baseless. Now, maybe I used a very strong word in terms of saying revered. I don't know whether I should use maybe admired for what they do. Now, let me make the point. Osu, and I repeat this point. Now, the problem is that, and I mentioned this about the law in Eastern region, which dealt with only Osu. The problem is that even our policymakers do not understand this thing deeply. So they don't understand where Osu starts and ends, and where Ume starts and ends, and where Ohu concept starts and ends. Now, what you have done, and what a number of authors, even people you claim they have PhD, have done, is to mix up these things and not understand it. So that's why you said Osu are people metering. No, that was never, and that has never been the idea or concept of Osu. I mentioned 3 categories, and they are different. What the law did was to merge these things under Osu. It's just like, let me give you an instance. Ebe enwere like in Enugu, enwere places a na-akpọ Nkano, enwere places a na-akpọ Amechi, but everywhere is called Enugu today. Yeah. Meanwhile, Enugu originally, about 80 wanted the name was Enugu Ngo, which was just a small part of the Ngo community. So what they did was to bring everything and start calling it Osu, and that's where the misconception started. Even a lot of authors who cannot do a basic research now merge everything together. That's not what it is. Osu were never people who did things, who committed things. How do people become Osu? People become Osu just like the Levites, based on commitment to worship or serve the gods. So it is not, you may not want to call it reverence, but what they do is that over their lineage, it's just like the Levites, over their lineage, these people worship, these people, keep the Okua Rosiawa, they keep it clean, they keep it neat and all that. That's the Osu. Now, there's another category which you are mentioning and mistaking and confusing with Osu. Now, that is Jume, and I mentioned it here. That is in the material. The word is even very explanatory, very, very explanatory. Now, mgbe mmadụ meta ife, it serves in different ways. Is either you are serving the person he marry wrong, or you are serving the community in different ways. So it's just like community service that we have today. So you could be serving by sweeping Okwarosiama, some of those things in the somebody bosu, but the Osu were never people metering. No, that's not what it meant. They were not. That is the misconception that has been built into the Igbo society, which I am trying to debunk. What now, when I mentioned the church, what happened was that the church came and had the lumping bido. When they started lumping these things together, confusing it, making it as negative as possible in order to, discourage people from these practices. So in order to escape, they made it as negative as possible. So even categories of people who were never, outcasts, were made outcasts based on, the negativity that, the height of negativity. Now there are some that had negativity, don't get me wrong, but it was not the concept, the idea of Osu. The idea of Osu originally was not based on Imetaye. No, the idea of Osu was simply people who were dedicated to the worship of keeping the temples of. So maybe I used a very maybe strong word that you probably would disapprove of saying reverence, but I know what I mean in that, and I believe everybody should understand. It's just like let's say a mass server. I don't know whether you should say you revere the person or something, but at least you have some some sort of I don't maybe I should find a better word to use maybe some level of admiration for people who commit themselves, because there's a reason why people go ahead and commit themselves. You are saying that people who met in here when they are say kahana serve our gods, this thing that in our society the only people like Ghana serve our gods. I mean, does it even make sense to you that in a society people will only bring people who are criminals to worship their gods? I don't know whether Igbos are even don't even understand and this is not to make our history very good, sound good, because there were certain things you said here that sounded like you didn't understand me. This is not me trying to make whitewash our history. No, I simply made it put it in categories to explain to Ndi Igbo what it is to the root, and it should make even common sense. Because some of these people, what they do is they go to copy and paste. I mean, we are in the academic field, so we know what a number of people do, even in the legal profession. Copy and paste is a lot, and people do not research. People do not even use their common sense. So Ipotasina, the only people who worshipped your gods, and this was what the Oyibo missionaries made us to believe, that the only people who worshipped our gods were the criminals in the society. So it made everybody draw back. No, that was not what it was. And when the category, which you call the Osus, who were people who on their own voluntarily decided to serve. Indeed, sometimes the people of a community will go and call a Dibia from another one, and the person comes to that community and becomes like like the person who worships for them. Maybe if they have a problem in that community and they can't solve it, they go and bring Arose from another community. Automatically, it's not as if the person metering. Automatically, the person comes there serving the gods, using it to solve their problems for the meantime. So that is how these things came about. Then there are people who now obuna hame Nandi Mary maybe onye ji ụgwọ onye mere ihe ọzọ ịkpọ ya. How many circumstances of rape existed in those era? But I don't know why you wanted to. But this is the mindset that the Oyibo missionaries wanted to throw out there. And unfortunately, a lot of our academicians actually take these things. Now, obun onye maybe onye mete ihe onye ji ụgwọ onye zuru oshi or anything at all. Ana pondia. That is ume. That is ume. Even the word explains it clearly to you. Now, these people can be called in. Ihe is not even to worship the god like the Osu. What they do is simply to maybe sweep the Oku Arụsị, to help in sweeping, to help in doing ma ọ bụ ndị nke nọ n'Oku Arụsị. Then ọ bụ ndị nke na ndị nọ n'ụlọ maybe to na-echute mmiri n'aka ugbo for the person until they get their freedom. That's how they serve that. And then there's another category which we are called the Ohu. Ohu could be based on onye enweghị ego in a community, no ogbenye, or maybe that the person, because no see another community bịa and needed to, based on na ọ ka bịara abịa na that community, asị na ọ ga-serve onye ọ serve, and it's not perpetual. Also have one freedom. Yeah, that's why I gave an example with the Iba boy system. That was where that was the idea of this whole system. So assuming today that our society was, is still in that back days. Tomorrow, in we case no onye obuna na agba boy, no onye assuming not those days, and we case no onye obuna bu nwa boy. You understand? Now the a different category of person, because that they are not privileged, no, a different category of person. That's how these things came about. So I want us to understand this and understand them with so many, wrong concepts, wrong, a lot of misconceptions on these things. And this is the reason why we need to understand what these things are originally, what they were originally, and so that we can actually be able to deal with it in our society. Unless we understand it, we will keep modeling things up and we will not even know where the issue started. And this is not me trying to say that our ancestors were saints. No, it is simply me trying to put both history, both common sense, both anthropology, and everything together to make common sense of what is happening in our society, and not just picking things because now in audio too. And this is the problem we have been making, even with the recent law of Abia State government. I keep saying that what we need to do is to understand the concepts. If we understand it, then the issues will be sorted out. But if then just make it that no, you see, that same thing. No, it's not going to solve the problem. The problem is knowing ourselves, knowing the root of these things, and then we can solve it. Thank you. Dalono.
Nah, guy, bikonu, ihe abụrụla ọkọt ka anyị nọ, I would have cut Jimmy or short, but like just leave it because of Jimmy. You are shouting for me. You are shouting for me, but please don't do that again, please.
Sorry,
You are
my
shouting,
brother.
please. Don't do that again.
Hi, Chief.
Biko, before mother akpọ m high chief, chill on. Biko, ọ bụrụ mụnwa nwe space ahụ, anaghị akpọ abịa sị nọ high chief osu, biko abụrụ m osu, and again, biko point of correction, biko o nwere ka apụ echi na sị nọ high chief na nke a na-adịghị host osu space. Nna agwa this girl na host ihe ọ dị good na osurism ọhịa ọgụ. So biko onye chi kpọọ nwaanyị ụmụahịa, then ịchọ ịkpọ njakịrị egwuregwu ịkpọọ m, ọ ịchọ ịkpọ biznes ịkpọọ m, mana ọ bụ na osu echi nye reference it's not according to nwaanyị ụmụahịa space, osu bụ nke a, osu bụ nke ọzọ. But what we are doing here is, I think one benefit of this space is that ka unite ihe a niile ka hapụ ị na-enwezi ndị even though na mba racist, ka hapụ ị na-enwezi ndị asị ndị nke America, ndị nke America. We don't want division again. I remember one day ebe na-defend that na enwere ihe dị ka Anambra, enwere ihe dị ka Imo. Anyị ncha bụ nwanne, even though na anyị abụkwa m onye Anambra, anyị ncha bụ ofu. Ịghọtago? Alaeze otu na-eme ọfụma taa, ọ Igbo ka ọ na-emere ya, ọ bụrụ ndị Abịa ihe a na-akụ iri up and down, ọ Igbo niile ka ọ na-emere ya. Ịghọtago? Na Saradebe na-ezuzu ezu, ọ Igbo niile ka ọ na-emekwara, ọ na-ezuzukwa n'Igbo niile. Ịghọtago? So biko onye ọbụla mma akpọ kịta iche ikwu okwu, remember the law, don't shout for me. Iwe ike shout for nwaanyị ma ya, don't shout for a title man. Ọ na-ewe m iwe. I just bear it because of now onwere there's nothing I can do. So biko ọ bụ na iche ikwu okwu na ị nọ na speaker section, biko respectfully raise up your hand. Ọ bụ na respectfully raise up your hand, nga otugo ka ndị ọzọ gbogote. Mana igurube ọ nwere m chọrọ ịjụgụ before John the Baptist ekwu okwu. Igurube anyị dị igurube ịlakpugo na ọ bụrụ otu moro na-aga ihe hostu APC space anyị na-adị host ma o ruo etu tomorrow, anyway, mgbe o rugoro tomorrow, John the Baptist nọ dị ya.
Hi, Chief.
Okay.
We keep seeing our time. Ka we can
Igurube na ebe a. Igurube o nwere m chọrọ ịgwa gị, o nwere ike mmadụ agwabeghị ya before. Uche may get invite na Lagos Igbo Hangout. I am next 2 months, June. Onye ọbụla nọ ebe a, ọ bụrụ na ị nọ Lagos steeti, ị nọ Naijiria, ebe ọbụla isi ya nọrọ, ihe efe n'elu igwurube ihe m ji agwa gị ya na big boys like you and big man like you si Enugu bịa bịa nke last year, ma achọkwana gị achọ na nke this year. Ọ bụkwa na ego flight, ọ nwere moto na-esi esi Ọnịcha saịdị Ọdakpụ apụta, ị chere ya na toll gate Asaba. Ọ bụrụkwa na Nsukka join ebe buso onye ọzọ, no, do well to come to the event. Ọ bụrụ na ị nọ Lagos steeti, ị
By
bụrụ
night
ịta
bus.
ụmụ yeah, night bus, yes. Bro, akwago akwụkwọ na igurube ya about night bus. Igurube ọ bụrụ ọkwụmụ akwụkwọ ya. Ọ bụrụ na ị nọ Lagos steeti, ihe ndị Igbo na-amasị gị. June, we are having our Lagos Igbo hangout. Lagos Igbo hangout. Anyị mesịa ya edebe nke PH. Anyị mesịa nke PH anyị edebe nke Abuja, Calabar and Uyo. So ihe anyị na-emekwara ihe ndị a ka a chịkọtacha ụmụ Igbo niile nọ ebe niile ọnụ. Ka anyị
Kende
na-eme
Meduguri kwanụ.
eh?
Kende Meduguri.
Emeduguri. My brother, town hall.
Anyị nwanụ Meduguri a ga-emere anyị hangout.
Ihe eme nke gị unu eme nke unu Meduguri mụ adịghị abịa nke ahụ. So biko ọ bụrụ na ị nọ Lagos steeti but igurube na-eme gị invite specially. I'm serious about this one. I'm serious. Achọ m mụ na onye APC esebe picture before. Biko igurube bịa Lagos. Ịbịa Lagos, I want to snap picture with you. Ọmụ ya bụ host of the mụ na anụmanụ a na-host space a anyị na-abụ ihe ka host the work that day. We are going to be on stage. So igurube na-eme gị invite. Ticket m ga-enye gị ticket free. I'm gonna get ticket free. I know how much I bought the ticket, but I'm giving it to you for free. So let's hear from John the Baptist. I will keep on reminding you, group. And in the neighbor, we are still waiting for sponsors. When you have a flyer and every day, I ain't gonna post here. Couldn't have. Why am I open on when can we drop wherever? Can do the one now for bread cap n'isi. Ndị ka m ka ha go polo ka ndị mmadụ ka ha gbaa tiketi ka ndị mmadụ ma ọ bụ na ya abịanwu ada billion daalụ sọ. All right, John the Baptist, you have 3 minutes because we can share the time.
Yawa, assalamu alaikum. Why ma na
I'm on your call for good deal. I'm on your
Amaliku.
call for good deal. On your word.
Ekwu amana ife Abubakar na-eme ala.
Okay, my brother, this conversation is a good one. And I'm here I won't talk enwe. So onye ọbụla mekọrọ his own submission. Enwere ihe ndị anyị ga-amụta na ya. Ọ ga-echerekwa ndị nke ọzọ emekọ submission. We are not trying to be the one that want to give it a particular face. The Osuka system, yes, all the more predominant in Imo State and probably Abia State than Anambra State and what have you. On a lot of issues, on a lot of faces, okay? Just like, is it Dr. Ken that said then, yes, it happened, that's for fact, okay? And to an extent, on ndị bụkwa ndị ji ase ndị ohu ha ka ha tara ha afụ maka ife ọjọọ ha metara n'obodo, okay? Then those ones are actually dedicated to that deity. So they are never a respected kind of people in Igbo land. Rather, they are ana-afụta in the akpapụla. And in some communities, let me be specific in Imo State, some of them were some names that they answer, but civilization has made it that a lot of them have started changing names. They no longer answer those names that they actually called in terms of the clan or the village. They no longer answer those names because things are changing. However, I think the church has been in the forefront of this elimination of Osuka system in Igbo land, given that sorry, can you one question? Because in a discourse, I ain't like it, I'm married the time because these things happened in different times in history. Because it take Kenya from maybe last 100 years, you will say the church has been against this. Do you understand? Now, Iba, and again, it take here, okay, now these people, Bundi,
Brother,
sorry, when you can you answer my
hold
question?
on, hold
It
on,
take
hold
here,
on,
now these
hold on.
people,
Wait,
sorry,
wait. Give me cool
wait,
thinking.
now, let me ask you a simple question and drop so that you can
Hold
continue.
on. Uh,
Oh.
See,
So
the
isi
interdiction.
Nigeria Bunde segregated against waiting now. This is the issue with intellectual discourse. Isi Nigeria Bunde segregated against in Igbo society. You will need to also look at what point was the segregation started, because reports will tell you they were segregated, but that segregation was not originally so. Before the whites came, what was the situation? Then at the time the whites came, what was the situation? But then after the whites, like
These
things
things have
of
been
within 100
documented. I don't know why these things have been documented.
no, you are no, that is not the
See,
point. The point
you
is
are
that
taking the
people are not
space.
documenting the
You guys are bringing me into this thing again, and I said it earlier. Don't shout. You know, somebody they're gonna attack him. I can't shout. We're team here called tribal something. Here, bro, here tribal. Because the law, if you hear me now, the law, I will give you permission. Bob na mmadụ nchakwuchara okwu. Gị nwa ya, onye ọbụla kwụsị okwu, gị nwa ya aracha onye ahụ ọnụ. That would be the thing na grant gị na, because ị na-achọ na ka anyị gaba court. Mana m na-achọ ịgwa gị na I put it to you. I was one time barrister, ma m nwaanyị ma ọ bụrụ ya agwa ya, ọ nwe mgbe m nza barrister na this, sorry, ka hapụ ịdị ka nke nwa m ji eji na fake. The law chalụ onye akwụsịa, because if you counter him now or warrant in a shout and is against me, shouting on me, I don't like it. Ebe nnọkịta, I don't like shouting. So biko, ọ bụ na okwusịa, you now say, nwaanyị ụmụ ahịa osu, I wanted to let me counter him. Then ọkwa na-eche ikwu, and that is high chief ahụ nwekwara nke m chi igwe, I will listen, he will listen. Then by then onye ahụ asị okay, but again, ka anyị gee ntị na ihe Jimmy kwuru, o nwere ihe o kwuru ebe a, time reference is very, very important. Yeah, that time reference, because without time reference, I don't think we'll be talking about history. So, but John the Baptist, open a time reference it's according to this we are called because you weren't there. Or you see, based on your assumption, you were thinking, based on diplomats and because John the Baptist. Yeah, yeah.
Anyway, so like I was saying before, okay, before ndị ọcha abịa, ndị be anyị na practice ọdịnala before ndị ọcha, before the white men came, okay. Now, during that period, onye ọbụla mere ife a na-asọ nsọ, okay, o nwere ntaramahụhụ dịrị ya. And part of those things is that the ones the community fụtara na ihe a bụ nsọ ana ka onye ahụ mere, a na-eji onye ahụ agụla alụsị, okay, and the person will be ostracized. Yeah, the other members of the community will not have anything to share in common. Okay, now, ka ndị ọcha bịara, that is when this issue of even during the slavery, enwere ndị, in order to avoid being taken into slavery, feji aka ha gbadola alụsị on their own. That's how they got themselves dedicated to the deity. Now, with all these things happening, the Igbo community, as at then, given all the whole publications that have been made by renowned Igbo authors, okay, you can check them. There are a lot of them. There are some hard copy books. You can even see some online, and they all agreed on one thing, okay, that Osu caste system has never been a special people in Igbo land. Never. Special in the sense that they command any form of respect. No, no, no. A na-afụta ha asị ndị lụrụ alụ n'ala Igbo. Ife a bụ ndị na-ekwesịrị ka ha na mmadụ mekọ ife. For instance, I'm from Olu in Imo State. In my own place, there was a time that they are seeing that iweleke na ọkụkọ nyefa the ọkụkọ agaghị amụ nwa. That's as bad as it was then. Okay. Now, but of all these things people have been writing, people have been saying about it, people have been, you can't get it eradicated when you tell the people that these things were nonsense, these things were done out of their own ignorance. You can't get things eradicated that way. But the only way out of it have to be sensitization, advocacy. People have to be made known that yes, our forefathers could have done all these things, okay? But in this new dispensation, that is where the church comes in. We accept Christ. We are new being. We are one in Christ. We are one body. We are one in the body of Christ. Now, there is no need again to say, Onya abonya, Onya abonya, Onya abonya. We are all purchased by the blood of Jesus. That's where the church comes in. Now, for ndị nke na-abụrụ ndị ụka, okay? Now, a lot of things emego, a na-aghọtazi that o nwekwara ike ụfọdụ ihe ndị a mere mgbe ahụ ọ bụrụ na amalụ akala inwe other better ways akala isi handle some of those things other than ostracizing those people. Now, most of these people now, they are just victim of circumstance because ụfọdụ n'ime ha bụ maybe their great grandfather were that and they are just born in such a circumstance and they start inheriting those things. Now, the push aga na-enwe in Igbo land will not have to do with the laws or the laws, okay? It has to be a reorientation of people. Let people start seeing it that if we could say, oh, in the past, on abonye mo ejuma, aibo yasuna ha alụ this that, but today, and I made those things accept. Then these things can also be seen from that angle. So that onwehezi na amụrụ mmadụ ọ bụrụ na by virtue of nne mụrụ ya or nna mụrụ ya is this onye ha bụrụ. No, even in my side, ịnọ osu, you are even regarded as to be osu. Ibudiana, no osu. The family sees you as osu automatically. I'm talking of from Olu, where I come from. Okay. But a lot of
But that's how it's everywhere. That's how it is everywhere. Well, there's no
yeah,
Igbo land is not like that.
yeah. So, but
So
a lot of conversation has been going on, and the only way we are trying to bridge this now, most of the people who literally call the Osu people, who has money, okay, they are even encouraged to do things in the community. Now, you see people embracing the hospital, like the other person cited before. You see people, because nobody that hospital, you cannot go there to take you see people, oh, because nobody onye school. Now you see that we interact. I need a Jeko school. I need a Jeko hospital. I need a Jeko car. I need a Egwu. Then where is that issue now? Now the same people kabu ihe a n'isi but the people ordinarily would be the vanguards of trying to get these things rid of. Ọ ha nwabụ ya n'isi because enwere ụfọdụ position ị ga-achọ inweta na community asị gị mba nke a ịmakwa onye nna gị bụ ejekwula ese nna 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 gị ejekwula ese nka. That is it. But the only way we can do it, ọ bụrụ na a ga na-enwe some I can introduce into our educational system. Okay, the little children that are coming up from nursery, primary, secondary. Before they get to secondary level, they now see that, oh, those things were actually the mistakes that our forefathers did that time. There was a question one you might have drawn about this issue at the early stage of this discussion about the spiritual consequences. And I told her, for now, there is no major spiritual consequences on it now, except in rare situations where there was a pronouncement made by either our forefathers or that na ya agaghị anụ this. And in some cases where they go into that, some of them have some kind of difficulties either in conceiving or in, but not in all cases. Okay. Aside that, there is no nwere ike ịfụta nwaanyị ụmụ ahịa ya na mụ na ya abụọ dị too close, so intimate that ọmada amasị ma mụnwa bụ mosu amamama so you see, so there is this kind of a global village that the world has been turning into, and we need to also get ourselves off from or detached from some of these things. Not that because our forefathers are stupid, no, they are not stupid, but just because we feel now there are other better ways that those things could have been handled other than the way it was handled then, that we may not have kind of a serenity. Okay, it was so bad before that they don't even attend to the same market, village market. Obula Mboso Wafia Eke, they dare not come to that Eke market or Orie market, or as the case may be, because of that stigma. I'm talking of Olu precisely where I come from. I don't know about other places. So, but things have changed. A lot of things now. Ị gaghị je n'ime ahịa na ji igo ihe jụwa mmadụ sị na chere obodo onye Osuke bụ onye ume. It's no longer like that. Then the peculiarity things eji mara ha, given that ha be close to Afia or close to the deity, the village deity. Or this time, because kita in some villages, ebe ọbụla ịfụrụ ana ijide ego igoli ịnọ n'ụlọ. It shows him how the proximity. In fact, and it because it together with ndị nwa bụ osu. Because being for space ka ị ga-anụ ụlọ ebe a ka ị ga-ebi. So we interact so well with them now. So what I'm saying is that in as much as the church is trying to see how we can get all these things out, there is supposed to be, from time to time, maybe the national orientation agencies in our different states or local governments need to also engage in, there should be jingles, so that people can start seeing it that, oh, yeah, what we are told. Because the way Sirikora is some of Akoko, it looks even, you may even be scared of even interacting with them. But actually, those things are not as it is. Given that there went a lot of civilization, so a lot of advocacy we need to put in place. We need to actually say it as it is. Yes, these things may have happened then, but it's no longer necessary anymore. But to say it will just go down like that by maybe saying that they did all those things, they did it out of ignorance, those things are not. Trust me, it's not. There are some chieftaincy title you take. They will tell you no. You can't even be the traditional rule of a certain community. Because that is when they will not trace your lineage and tell you that no, you cannot be. It's more pronounced in Imo State, but gradually, I think in certain areas in Imo State now, it's gradually going down. I know some areas within Olu zone, all the old Olu zone, is gradually going down because the youth have come up now to, they don't care if you say you are marrying from so person. In fact, the youth will contribute money to help sponsor the wedding. Just because you are marrying from that place that they say, oh, nobody should go. So when the elders are now saying, some of them are no longer actually pushing too much about it. So that's just what I really need to put through so that we don't get it somehow
All
twisted.
right.
That's how
All
it
right.
has been.
Okay,
All right.
because all the more that I come here and intervene again. Um,
People,
because no,
but
wait, sorry, because
Jimmy is
a lot.
correct. Jimmy is correct in this matter. And
You
that's why
don't.
I came up. Only Fengeku, Jimmy is 100% correct in this matter.
Jimmy is
Mana,
correct because he's who?
let me
Has he
make
written
a
a
sub.
book before?
If you go ahead and amend them, muddy. If you go ahead and amend them, I want to answer the blackboard result there, but you be a result. I ain't cause I have you written book. Look at it now. I go now. They have talked to you the way you want now because have you been in your work respect? When you are called gas, Jimmy on ever agbara onwe happy akọ gbara so onwe ihe ikwu na Jimmy square onye nke atụgo na have you eaten any book and for to me it's insult to you I wouldn't like that ọ bụ na o ruo tọn gị ikwu okwu otu ọmụwasị barista onye ọbụla kwụsị okwu ya lasịa ya ọnụ ebe onye ọ chọrọ taa don he has win the case we all know anyị ma PDP and APC na-eme here but please guys ọ bụ na ị na ebe a our ticket is dropping this weekend big opening about our ticket not drop this weekend. So me and the host, I was on one of the organizing committee of that Lagos Igbo hangout. Opening on Lagos State, the tickets not drop very soon. But tickets, yeah, opening ya make sure it's in somebody tickets. Yeah, leader. As you go for Obazu, go a come na gwa nke a ESM dịrịrị ndị mmadụ ya abịa Lagos Igbo hangout because ị nọrọ nso Maazị Maazị Ezeoke send anyị ndị mmadụ ka ha bịa Lagos Igbo hangout buy ticket for your friends they should come around and igurube nke igurube na ma afọrọ ya mma bịa n'ugwu ga-apara gị n'isi so biko onye ọbụla chikwu okwu wenye aka ya ọtọ wenye aka gị ọsọ ka m wike wee mara onye ịbụ abịa n'ebe a sị anyị na onye a dị correct onye a dịrọ correct ikwuo ya ebe a they go counter you ndị a na-eche argument since ọmụ na aka amụ ha down to God ọ bụ na m anọghị ebe a Dr. Kenya na ebe a na-adụgoro o were iwe ọcha na comment section na evidence nọ there yọta Jimmy na onwe ya be ready for argument so please you can give your thumbs down peacefully I don't even mind because ọma nwute m mana ọ mgbe anyị agwa gị okwu ya ewutekwana gị mụnwa dịkwa peaceful biko ka Jimmy racha John ọnụ ọ bụ na ọ lasịa ya ọnụ onye ọzọ ya ekwu bụ Giel ọ bụ na Giel kwụsị Obi de na eru ebe Tobechukwu nọ biko ewe n'iwe my brother o nwere nwa nkwugote ebe a ka mụ na the girl kalịa mana ka anyị hapụgodu Jimmy ka ọ lasịa the guy ọnụ Jimmy biko laa onye ọnụ
So a quick one. You see, what people need to
Do as intellectuals is not just to believe anything you were told. You subject it to further reading, subject it to common sense because ịma na ihe a na-eme enwe ndị Igbo agwa na fa bụ ndị Bini over the years enwe ndị dela akwụkwọ ọfa ndị Bini and a lot of young people who do not care to look into what they were told believe those things dogmatically till today. Now, enwe ndị Igbo agwa na ndị nke ọzọ mejọ ọfa during the war, which are things that were cooked up. Until today, they believe those things dogmatically without subjecting it. Now, you see why this thing, the very critical and why I keep interfering. But all the matter that the young generation of Igbos today should start asking questions, should start questioning the things they were told. Indeed, there was a time we were told that Umuai had inherit property in Igbo. It was until we subjected, indeed, this thing went to court and people lied to the courts. And this thing was given in a judgment in court, something that is false. Today, we know better that this thing is false. So the mere fact that people have said this, that's why I asked them the question. Please, tell me the time within history. Was it before the whites, during the time they were here, or after? When did the church start fighting this thing? When did the church start? And I'm not saying the church, I'm also a Christian. I'm not saying the church is bad, as like some people will misunderstand me to be saying. No, I'm just telling you things that are facts of our history, things that are facts of what happened within our history. Timelines, they're very important when you discuss these things before the coming of the whites, during the whites, and after. Now, before the coming of the whites, this thing was not negative the way we are seeing it today. Now, somebody in Ejife, now, how does it make even common sense to you that a community, the only people they send to worship their gods are people who made any negative things? Does it even make
Don't
sense to
worry,
you?
Kenya had the requirements.
You understand?
A
So
priest.
this is,
Yeah,
this
don't worry.
is,
Go ahead.
when I
You're right.
hear this,
Just
even
I
from
came
young
They were
people,
not worshiping, they were
go
taking
ahead.
care. They were taking
no,
care.
you
Let me
cannot
just say
even
Odin is
take people.
disingenuous,
Let
man. You
me
can't
tell
be
you,
saying
let me,
you have no
please,
book, no
please
history,
wait,
you're
let
there
me
talking.
land now.
You see the problem. Somebody in the comment section say, allow people to talk, may they shout or may they not shout. You see, this is the issue. That's why they say, if you want to speak here, don't shout. Because the more you shout, you are triggering people to interrupt you. Because, Dr. Kenny, I know you are ready for arguments. Allow Jimmy to land. If Jimmy land, Dr. Say, kill him. I don't care. Onye ọbụla eji ime ya mee ya ọ gbasara himself. Ihe m chọrọ ime, allow him to talk. Once he finish talking, two minutes ka ọ ga-eji wee na-ekwu okwu. I give him the power, let him do am, no problem. Ka space say I dey peaceful because the more we talk calmly, the more we understand. But if you are shouting, people will definitely interrupt. I know I've been in spaces, I've been in spaces and I've been in violence where I've stopped going though. But if you are shouting, this is the cosmology of space. So if you are shouting, people interrupt. So, Jimmy, please talk calmly so that
Okay,
these
okay.
guys can
No,
listen.
sorry. In my voice, I did go used to, when we are talking in court. So,
Yeah, broke up. My
sorry,
the
it's not as if I'm
space.
shouting out. Is my, the way I would normally speak. So, but I'll try to tone it down. So these people, it was not something negative in that sense. Yes, they are committed to the gods. Yes, they are committed to the worship and preservation of the gods. But I said something here. They were also in categories. We shouldn't forget that because in the madness here is just lump everything up, say whatever you want to say about everything. But I have mentioned something. There is a reason why amongst Igbos these things are categorized. They are not just categorized for the sake of it. They were categorized for a reason. Now, because the Osu are the people who commit themselves to the worship of this God. That's why people will bear names like Nwosu proudly. People will bear Osunkwo. Then there is Ndi Meteri here, which is that these people are, now there are also people that now maybe Hana Saha, then they will come, they will commit themselves to the worship of the God. Ndabukwa, that category of Osu who worship the gods. They are not necessarily in the Meterihe. No, they are not in the Meterihe. Now, in the Meterihe adume, in the Meterihe, even the word alone in Igbo should tell you what it is. We shouldn't, but what people did, when the church now came, all these things were lumped up and called Osu. Everything was lumped up, called a negative thing, and that was the basis on the abolition of Osu. Now you can see we had three categories, but what the Eastern Region law banned was Osu, as if it was only one. But they were in three categories. So it also tells you that there was a misconception at a certain time in history. So at the time before the advent of the whites, there was something it meant. It meant people who worshipped these gods, and which was not really something negative. Of course, they had their enclaves, they had their, after all, father than wine, and it's not negative something. So the mere fact that they don't relate like other people does not mean it is negative. That's when I said, maybe I used a very strong word in terms of reverence. It's not reverence in that sense. It's simply that these people are
Priestess
committed
Jimmy.
to worship of the gods, and it was not something negative. Now, enwe ndị na-emete ihe, ndị nọzi in their own category, who ihe ndị a na-eme, those ones who metere ihe bụzi ndị, they can, the committee can put them either that onye a na-agbalụ somebody odibo, or maybe na-aza the okwu arụsị or something. That's a different category altogether. But at a certain time in history, we are lumped up. Of course, the church, after later on, Later on in our history, in the last less than 100 years, the church started preaching against the same thing. Started, and when serious, cause. Why is it that at the time when the Mary Slessors and all these people who we're talking about, where was the history that the church ever, worked against this thing? There's nothing like that. They never worked against it. It was much later, much more recently, that the church now rose and started, because here maybe so much. The church now started, to work towards and against this thing because it was getting almost out of hand. So that was when, those things came up, and then even laws were made. So I want us to understand this thing. And this is not to say the solution lies in our understanding these things, and then teaching it properly, and then reorientating our younger people to understand, this thing, to understand that this segregation, for whatever reason, even if you believe their forefathers were whatever, we are evil and everything, it should not be something that should apply today. That's desensitization that should start from primary school. That is it. But the point I made about
The
timelines
law,
in history
the
is
law,
very important.
the law.
Mm.
Thank you. Even when I said you'll be talking after everybody, but sometimes I brought on your way. You have to go. So thank you guys for not joining. If you're joining us now, thank
It's
you for the
okay.
show.
It's okay.
Somebody
Chief, can
asked
you
a
give me
question.
1 minute to respond,
Yeah, you
please?
you will, you will. I know. I know you are ready. You are just waiting for it to hear shoot. You just destroy everywhere. Somebody asked a question in the comment section saying that I got about my this. Let's not make this thing tribal or this thing. Yeah, the Lagos Igbo Hangout. The reason why we are doing Lagos Igbo Hangout is because we have other festivals and even an Igbo. We have the Uhejioko, we have the Afiolo, we have the different Ajana. Like my place, I am Ajana. So
Ofala.
we do these festivals in East na Igbo. Yata. Ofa ahe na emekwe nke a na Igbo. MSCI ya. Then nke anyị na-eme na Lagos State and some of the cities anyị nọ bụ nke ịkpọkọta ụmụ Igbo n'ebe ahụ ọnụ. It's not at no culture. No. It's not at no culture. No. Anyị na-eme nke anyị na-eme n'ala Igbo. Then last year December ka anyị plan ime Igbo Unite na Lagos and in Enugu, but we couldn't meet with people like Ugurube ha ka ha nwee ike gwa Peter Mba okwu ịghọta. So that was why we couldn't do that. We wanted to start with Enugu as capital city of Ana Igbo. Ịghọta. Nke ahụ bụ every December eme Igbo Unite, emesịa na Enugu, eme na under state. I don't know, after Enugu it's like it's Anambra or something like that. Eme na Abia, emesịa na wee jebezi other state that are ndị enwe ebe nwere ndị Igbo mana ha Igbo eji ha wee hibe isi.
Ị ga-akpọ no leader, no leader bụ onye UIU now. Ọ
Ka
ndị
onye bụkwa
America
ihe.
ga-edoziri unu ume na nka. So eme ịkpọ leader ka unu mee
Okay,
UIU.
okay. Ọ ka m kọwara onye jụrụ ajụjụ. So biko ọ bụrụ na anyị mee ya because of na no. We discussed that in our meeting. So anyị na-eme nke a na-akpọ Igbo Unite. Nke ahụ bụ n'ala Igbo ka anyị na-eme ya. But anyị nwekwa other festive a na-emekwa n'ala Igbo. Mana nke a na-eme na Lagos State, Port Harcourt na Abuja bụ iji gwekọtasị ndị Igbo ọnụ. Ebe na Lagos ebe a ndị Igbo juru ebe a mana different union ka nkụ and adị ya emekọta ọnụ. So this thing, the last one anyị mere, ọ bụ na ị nọ ya ọ ebe na efu ya, after that na ọ kpọkọta ndị mmadụ ọnụ. From there we started having union, na-enweta different kind of unionism. Ede mmadụ isu ya n'ebe a na Suya she is interested in Igbo things and ọ support anyị na nke gara aga, and we are hoping that Suya ya support anyị again. So because we are still calling on you guys to support us. Lagos Igbo Hangout is coming soon. So let's go back to our discussion. I think I've cleared that. Biko, if you want to speak, don't shout at me, please, please. If you shout, I know that somebody here will take the advantage of countering. But if you talk gently like I'm doing here now, did you notice that nobody is countering me? That is cosmology of spaces. I've been in violent space, I've been in P2B space, I've been in Atiku space, I've been in Buhari space, I've been in Tinubu space. Yet I've learned that to deal
Biko
with human
Igbo
beings,
na-enwe space biko.
to deal with human being, you have to talk calmly. And if you want to win a case, you have to talk calmly. So let's do it calmly, soft and gently. Because what we are discussing here, many of us are learning. Oh, when they are east for many times, no. Some of us, more than ala east, have more Igbo, it's more Igbo. Even though I'm na Igbo, I'm Mnugu Hausa, into na Lagos, but I dey speak Igbo well. Oh, why never now? She know they hear Igbo. Or they are not do you know, yes, I dey understand small. H and Igbo, so no, can't you talk to me in English? Oh, never, she's here. It's wrong. And this is why we are doing Igbo hangout. Now, because I'm in Chon. Here for somebody.
Unya
Yeah,
hafa.
all the bad. Here for somebody. Otu anna as a high chief. Now, Imana Kangwa Gezo, Otu anna as a high chief. This guy na Pama. Nchoya, Osim, are you not married because of Nana as a high chief? Yata. Makanoff Nana as Obu if you high chief. Nion MS Kana as I had a Calvin, Joe Brighton, Joe Brandon. Omo here nonsense. Afa. Reku so and a retu to Hano. So let's bring our culture back because this Osuna, I bet you that Noya and Ebo man here Osu. Oya no Osu wake tago your mahu or Osu ata your mo bro so Osu. She doesn't know. So, but with this discussion now, we guys would know the truth. Why Omaya and Eba Omahu Osu go more bro. But for her to open space, other bro Osu. So let's hear
High
from
chief, disrespect our host here. I just talking a listener session.
Imana Nkegobona. Anyway, let's hear from I think now this person here now.
You say I'm going to
Um
respond for 1 minute and just go.
okay, yeah. Hey, can't you forgive him, dog?
No.
Where
So
is he,
actually, if
man?
I have my wait.
Anọgo m ebe okwu okwu. Anọgo m
It's a
ebe
response.
a.
Jimmy has been responding now. You've been
But
doing
high chief,
political clapper.
He's
ebum
responding after
tochukwu ụzọ wee bịa. Aka m dị chief.
After dog Daisy,
Okay, thank
Kodesi,
you. Thank you.
then Tobechukwu.
Yeah,
So
1 minute should be 1
1
minute,
minute,
so
yes, I
please.
mean, yeah. So again, High Chief, there's something that Jimmy is doing that is so strange. Jimmy has made himself the king and a custom of Igbo tradition. That is fallacy. He has literally every Igbo person has written a book that's done more research than him and tell us, oh, we don't understand. Oh, he's the white man. Which white man? When did the white man come to the southeast? Again, these things have been documented. There are places where the white people first came to. That is why if you go to various places, whether you're from Abia, you're from Imo, you say that Abia people are mostly Methodists. Why? Because it was the Scottish that first came into those. These things have been fitted. These things have been, I mean, like I said, leader is here. Where's leader? Is leader here? Leader is here. Leader knows this thing. We have dissected many Igbo books on Clubhouse. The guy Akosa is here. These things have been discussed talking about white people. They're telling you pre-colonization, Igbo history, about that pre-colonization. This is what we did. And you make mention of white people. It was Igbo people that secluded those people. Not which white person. It was we that did it. We separated your shoes. We said we don't want them. Which white people? No, which white Guinea? If it wasn't your turn to buy, you're calling Mary Sister. When the Mary Sister coming to, did she even come to the
Osu was
southeast?
never a bad thing,
Please,
Nanibo.
can you keep me?
Osu
Oh,
was
Tobechiko, I
never
can't
a
debate
bad
with you.
thing, Nanibo.
Tobechiko, I've told you I can't
Dr.
debate with
Kenike,
you. You're not,
with all
I mean,
due respect,
oh my, Tobechiko,
I'm telling you the truth. Osu was never a bad
Now
thing,
wait now.
Nani.
When you get to your turn, you go talk now. Waiting be this now.
I mean, let me
Now by
finish up.
force.
So this very, again,
Doc, you have 1 minute, right? Tobechukwu biko apia ka okwu understand. If you don't like what he's saying, I think you should close your ear or drop down. You have to go. Let him land. You know, if you don't want to listen to him, you go to under space. Once he's done, I'll send you the link back. I love your I would also like to hear from you. Okay, let's hear from him. Doc, biko round up so
so
that
so
we
so
hear
so
from this.
so so High Chief, what I'm saying is this is not my opinion. Like I said before, I challenge Jimmy, bring one source. I mean, everybody cannot be 100% correct. Bring one source that says what he's saying. He has crowned himself the modicum of Igbo history that every other person doesn't know. Every other person is deceived by the white man. Even people have done more work than
But
him.
you're
Eh,
alone here. We are all
oh
anyway.
my,
Sorry. Go ahead. Apologies,
Jimmy,
High Chief.
to which what the hell is this?
Um, um, Doc, you know what? For peace to reign, Doc, I'll drop him. Okay.
No, he's
Then
my
when you
guy.
are
He's my
once you are
guy.
done talking.
Tomechki
Yeah,
is my
we
guy.
don't
He's my
worry.
guy. But I don't know. He likes to do this thing.
Anointing you.
Biko check am. Mon I dey make skin to skin no biko badekwa ya. I
Simple.
dey make skin to skin
Now
biko.
up for you. Ayana, let's go. Go on.
This is 2 minutes and counting, man. Go
Okay,
on.
anyways, so as in, yeah. So let me use the mic. Let other people speak now. There's you can go.
All right, Doc, thank you. Yeah, if you can Doc yeah, out of a and joke, but you understand what he's saying. You
Why am I?
understand him.
We make fun of Becky pada wana bani.
Uh,
Becky pada
nna
wana
biko
bani.
nna biko biko biko
Okay,
biko biko ọnwa ihe na-enye gị nsogbu ọ bụ na ị chọrọ ka ahụ gị aka ije ebe ị na-adị eje 2000 naira kwuru m ọnụ m ọ bụrụzi 500 before oge Buhari nọ Jonathan nọ ya na 500 ka anyị hara kịta hazi 2000 naira according to hearsay ọ bụrụkwa na nna aga. Okay, let's hear from Daisy. Amara m ọ Daisy onye a ka ọ Desi.
yeah,
Dexy,
Dexy,
Dexy.
3000. Yeah.
Nna biko ị bụ onye Igbo ewe n'iwe
Any Igbo kajara akaja nwanne.
Ibu kajara akaja ya na-aza ike ihe ri ya ọnwa afọ Igbo bido Desi.
Mba, na awụ iwu na m ga-aza afọ Igbo nwanne m.
Okay, I know. Gaa n'ilu.
So ndewo m ga-asụ some n'Igbo so that ka m ike kọwa ihe m na-ekwu ọfụma. Well, abịa na this osu stuff, man. Nke izizi bụ na the osu na almost everywhere apart from the areas like some Omambala area and some Anioma area. From southern Anambra, like from Nnobi area, Bagowe, to some part of Imo, Osuna there. And the other place on Okwa, where they like areas under Arrow, like under Arrow, no Hama, Hade Mosu, or Eda, like Eda Afipo or Abam. So any area these people control, you got much Osunia. Well, in many states, because in Boche, they were in many states. So they also not quite even Mana and Soka, even Mana and Kano, like so many places. And Nkewezoku, now people may go study about this. Like I went here now, I don't like an argument and my personal opinion. Sound opinion like many people may go study, so people ejego n'obodo dị iche iche eje na Nsụka jee na Nkanu jee na obodo ndị dị iche na Anambra jee n'obodo dị iche n'Imo jee na Abia jee mee study. So ndị anwa na-awụ authority compared to onye nọ na ya na-amaghị just na form opinion. So anwakwara ndị na-arụ ọrụ with like otu a United Nations Committee on Human Rights or whatever. I want to ndị be anyị na-arụ ọrụ dị a ha megokwa study like Dr. Dike and so many others. Even this Tricia Kenike kwuru Tricia na onwe ya, even though na amụrụ ya n'ala bekee ọ batakwara garịkwa na some communities nọ around ha mekwa studies and ndị Arọ nọkwa na ugwu ta ebe the girls, so it's possible na her parents were actually slave traders. So it may not be a lie as you're thinking, because the Aros were everywhere. So the thing, but now human beings, they really interested in this to see the physical evidence. Jenna studies more than when anwere mgbe m petụrụ mpe obere anwere ebe a na-akpọ Maje. So afụkwa m ndị osu anwa like n'anya m. Aga m ama atụ ebe ahụ onye ma ebe ahụ ama m exactly the current situation now, but this was like in the 2000s. Ihe a na-akpọ ndị osu anwa bụ ụmụ Ajala, people dedicated to Ajala. That Ajala, they have their own market. They have their own like ụmụnna. Yeah, ha na-eme meeting nke ha. Ha na-eme meeting nke ha separate from the other neighbors. But ha niile part of the same village, something like that. Not a town, like part of the same village within a village itself. So, but they have their own community they call only Omajala, have their own market, Oriajala. And people from there, as Mbahuma, cannot marry people from the other from their neighbors. And they are not invited to the like I said, so like praise I will money about but I was opportune to be taken there many times by a relative. So now from here then if I just oppose it with nke experts ndị dị iche iche gara obodo ndị ọzọ collect your information when I just oppose it together, the truth is there. Onweghị gbasara ndị ọcha, my brothers and sisters. A na-eme ihe ọbụla ebo ya ndị ọcha dize ka a ga-asị na anyị nwa awụ human being. I was a human being. We cannot take good decision or bad decision. Like, human beings, they fuck up. So your ancestors could actually fuck up. Accept it. Like, it's not a big deal. Ndocha no had the ancestors fucked up. They killed a lot of witches in the Salem witch trial. Imagine now, this year 2005, the trial witch trial, you misunderstood it. It was actually a good thing. Like, these things are unnecessary. That was an ignorant thing at that time, based on the information they had at that time. Now we have a better information, and this is why we're looking back at these things and say, well, it shouldn't have been done. But we are not condemning them. They did what they did at a particular time, but now it's a different time. So anybody holding on to that belief can be described as stupid, because you are holding on to a belief at a particular time for a particular reason, suit to her at that period. So the and that the Osu stuff. I will also there were three categories of this discrimination. The Osu one day dedicated to Arusi. And to correct something somebody said here, onye na-aza Nwosu abụghị Osu, just like Humphrey Nwosu nke nwere anwụ. Humphrey Nwosu wụ onye Aro, like even though not one Anambra State, but ọ Aro man, he's from Ajali. So and he nwe Osu. Osu meaning Nwosu in most 90% of Nwosu meaning Nwekwensu, like the priest of ndị na-asa bụ the priest a na-akpọ Ekwensu. So if you combine the Ekwe and Osu, if you otu ndị Igbo na-esi eme olulo and everything, it will give you Nwosu. And if somebody is answering Osuji, that does not mean he's an G is just yam now. So how can you be Osu of yam? How can you maybe Osu Njoku or Osu Ifejioku or like that? It means Osu means dedicated. So onye Osuju expert yam farmer, dedicated to farming of yam, or expert in that field. So any name for Osu on ya, then it's automatically no ya Osu. Like that, I'm not anything about Igbo like much. Osu no when they were Osu self, I will buy Alpha Kejama. They hardly answer even the name. It's just by you go there to the community and right? Especially when you hear Potaran like Ndoro Chichi or let's say actually in your position. All those communities are simple. That's when you know it's not by name. And now I want to was also on the ago ndị mere ihe ọjọọ bụ ihe Nwosu ọka hụasị. Some of them mere ihe ọjọọ wuru Osu based on ka ha wee zọpụta onwe ha. Some during the transatlantic slave mgbe communities meweziri acquire weapons and ọ dịzie easy ịnwudo mmadụ ọsịsọ. Some communities had to run to deities for protection, because at that time that is the only thing the slave, because the slave hunting with our brothers, so that is the only thing they respected, the deity. So Haga and all those people. So in the course of that, some of them are Okwadios. Some who by now for one reason or the other interacted with Osu, they now became Osu as well. So it's not usually all the cases will now ihe ọjọọ mere, like per se.
One day when you oh yeah back able.
I'm on Imo State.
Okay. Because around good up let go. I was typing out that now we're on what is that Osubu now, Osubu no Osu, right?
Yes.
No,
Um
because ọ bụrụ ihe m kwuru, because
but
people have misconstrued what I said.
Jimmy, hold on, yeah. He's not quoting you, he's just trying to make
No,
reference.
he quoted, he was
No,
actually
Jimmy,
on mention of that thing, and I want to make it
But I
clear that
really
that's not
get
what I
respond
do.
now.
What I mean is that the concept is not because ọ bụ not the negative. Ndị mmadụ ama ndị na-azị ya n'afa. I did not say na onye ọ
okay.
bụ osu ga na-azị ya
This
n'afa. That's what
English.
I
One
said.
day you go to
So that
Fopu
people
Stupid
will
now.
not
Danny.
misconstrue.
But I was speaking
One day
as Puja.
in the go
Yeah.
Fopu.
I know me.
So
I will hold
you know,
that is not the main my
listen,
main.
I'm waiting for you to go anywhere before so that I can around up because someone that can. It's not hopefully wo subo abronya is boy ajali.
But it's not one
Oh,
jolly,
ndị
but
ajali
all
bụ
one
ndị arọ.
arrow. So I will not buy alpha. Oga, as in
Hmm.
their community, the people arrow, they don't have Wosu. You understand?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that is
Okay.
to tell you that the name Wosu. Ijekwa n'ime man arrow. Chukwu ga-afụkwa ndị na-aza Wosu. But arrow don't have Osu. Ijekwa na arrow ndị zọ. Ị ga-afụkwa ndị na-aza Wosu. So that name itself actually will like him and Bochi Ekwensu awụrụ ihe anyị na-akpọ ya kịta. Ekwensu will different thing. So at that time people na-aza nwa Ekwensu, no problem. So that is how the name Wosu came about.
All
So
right.
yeah.
Thank you, Daisy. Thank you. You made your point clear.
No, you
Uh,
wait. I'm
okay.
rounding up. Hold on.
Okay.
Just 1 minute. So apart from Osu, enwere Ume with the worst one. Like even Osu is lucky than Ume. Ume is followed by an evil demonic entity that kills whoever the Ume comes in contact with. So people now sue Ume from far away, sir. Then enwekwara Ohu who like ndị a capture or onye ji aka ya gbara mmadụ ohu, but mostly ndị a capture. So these three things are different. But the whole thing is that you cannot deny that Osus are discriminated. And I'm with so many evidence, and they post some of them to show now how part of our history. And the earlier the money could really deny. He had the obvious, like this was an
No. Because understand the difference between discrimination and solitude. The Osu people, being in solitude is not discrimination.
Jimmy, mụ agha nọkwa ebe a mba no way.
Jimmy na-ekwu eziokwu now. Jimmy na-ekwu eziokwu. Ọ
but
nụrụ ebe a ghọta.
ọ na-ekwu
Telling you
eziokwu, ọ
the
ga-ahapụ
truth.
mmadụ ka mmadụ
There
kwuo
is difference between solitude and
I know go.
discrimination.
Jimmy's right. Dex,
You
Jimmy.
people were in solitude,
Not
just
why
like
that right.
people down
Just
in a
let
monastery.
me
That does not mean discrimination.
some
The
people carry church
discrimination
for head,
came
that's it.
afterward.
Jimmy, thank you. Jimmy, thank you. Jimmy, thank you. When the Jimmy go on over to you now. In my queen over no happy case and I go like Georgia has not going to win. Kind of good from other barristers. The guy where
No, people keep
yeah,
misquoting
no,
what we said.
Jimmy, you
That's
will
not
talk.
the
Jimmy,
point.
you will talk. Can see mood to Jimmy can you? Jimmy, careful in a use. Jimmy in a walk. You are not ordinary. In a walk. Stop doing that. Because Jimmy, allow this guy to land so that all and this year, ndị aka ha dị n'elu ka ha akwụkwọ na so that ka ị nwee ihe ọzọ ihe eji wee dissect anyị bito na ife nchọpụtara na ego political law gụkwa customary law gụọ village law gụọ osu law inwe all these things fact I can see you are dropping some things and even Dr. Kenny now drop evidence like I'm just reading this Dr. Kenny's own and also your own so biko allow them to open okusia like my fellow title man leader actually from him I want to hear from him Eota. So I also want to hear from Tobechukwu and the rest. So Biko, Daisy or Dija, Naga, Biko Rand or
so Dexy. Yeah. So
If one you might don't sleep. People. But if you wake one you might up, she don't sleep.
Orahora, or the single now. She don't have right to sleep. On your own, I want to with you. I want where I want. I don't know. I will say I want to say. Nah, because Daisy Ganil.
Nah, and so what the okay, so the the end of the hour now, this is like I said, okay, like I said, I want to go Chino Achebe, things fall apart. He made reference to this. Chino Achebe was born in the 1930s. Igbo no longer at ease between Obi Okonkwo and Clara. Chino Achebe tried to address this issue. Chinua Achebe was born in the 1930s. Eastern House of Assembly in 1956 made a law. At that time in 1956, Christianity came in Onitsha in 1885. So Christianity was about 70 years old. So the influence had been that deep toward today. Yet these people, some of them made that law. We are born already in 1900 or thereabouts. So how migrating? Yet they made a law at that time. So look at the people we are quoting. People now at those time, and now Onya Muslim at Kitawo Ogoforo was ihe ma this Osu carrier Chino Achebe carrier these other people. No problem. So that's just it. Thank you.
Okay, hi Chief. Hi
Yeah.
Chief.
Oh, my turn. Biko, can also
Biko ka
no.
m kwuo something.
Yeah.
Ọ bụrụ na ndị anwa ma so much mgbe ha make law in
Biko, onye mutu, God bless you. Onye mutu, God bless you. Biko, chalon. Tobechukwu, it should have been your turn, but leader na-ebe ọ tego na-eweli aka ọ gbarata due to network ọ na-eche ndị mmadụ network ya na-apụ n'abalị ọ na-eweli aka since you've been here before you. So I think what we'll do now, I'm coming Toto. What we'll do is this now. Amago m ebe isi aga.
I will not
Tochukwu
delay.
fẹ́ràn.
I will not delay. I will not delay. And just leader, Biko.
Ama m na-ede a last chelo. I know you don't like, but at least
No, last. Not last.
Tochuku, my network is bad. It will soon drop me. Tochuku, my network is bad. Let me
yeah,
just
just
come
let
out.
him just drop. Ọ meghe. You dey last, ị na-aṅụ ihe bita. Nna leader biko, make sure you can.
Because they won't thank you guys for letting me speak on here. Because imana sometimes na Igbo. And if we have na Igbo, we forget the historical context, and we forget, the understanding of the Igbo thinking. The Igbo before the white men abata na Igbo. For example, now, onye pụtara na thinking that ụmụ Igbo had the very nka, they're very, they're against women, nke one. But the reason why, but if you say that, it will be true, it may be true today. But back in the days before Ndocha abata na Igbo, it was not true. Women had their own rights, just like men. Women governed women. Men didn't govern women. Men didn't make laws for women. Everybody in Igbo land was economically viable. No, bro, I don't know Kibro housewife. Everybody, women were gynecologists. Women were very important, just like men in an Igbo. So I just said that to kind of segue into what I'm going to Yenge Kukita now. So back in the days, that Abukondebu Osubu, then FRC. And then we had advantages in those days. Before under child, they know Aluwalu Beke. Those days, all no condemn no canon the father now. Osus at that time covenant to the fathers. I don't know one had men they all they live their life is for the Catholicism and the Catholic faith. Those who ROC. And that time they had abundance of food because never the dear happy father say happy to all those things. Some people they jack now about it to go and to in those days to go and hold on. Can somebody some people they jack that time now I got to go and worship to go and so now serve because at that time he had to do communal life. At that time, how I be there, they be with themselves. They didn't need to come to the market with everybody else. It was not a concern. They didn't feel discriminated. Some people say, how many hot job or also not they run straight to the deity themselves because that's where they seek protection. Now, things have changed. Osu is a bad thing now. Osu is discrimination now. But the initial intent of it was not because people used to volunteer themselves to become Osu. The there, you cannot touch them again. How we go part of the ROC and you can't touch them. They've gotten safety. That's what it was before. That's not what it is today. That's why I said that now if you look at the Igbo the Igbo culture back in the days, before Ndocha be the why I'm back in the days, I'm walking you there as you're not there as you won't take your husband's name. That is how it was back in the days. Kita now wine gazaza for dear. So now you will now say that okay, no more okay, they are patriarchy, they are this, they are that. But then you as a woman, you die as whoever name you came into this world with. It doesn't matter who you marry. So the truth is that now Osu is a bad thing today because we have left the way that we practice. We're no longer the communal people that we are. And Yibo, there's so many infusions that have come in now that now at that because even at that time, I am with the kind of thing Igbo Obodo, those who were living in their own community, secular community, that they did not care about what was happening on the other side of the fence. They were getting food free, they were getting so many things. That people were even in my own village, they have more land. In my village, they have more land than anybody else. You know? And they were not also interested in marrying other people who were not Osu, who were not in their community. They were happy with marrying in their own community. But today now, that's not what it is now. So guys, we cannot use today to say that that's what Ndebo meant. That is the bad thing. I'm not saying that Ndebo meant in our job. And that thing I have to tell people too is that when somebody na-ekwu maka ejima, a na-egbu ejima. Ndị Igbo adịghị egbu ejima. That ndị Igbo adịghị egbu mmadụ. That is ndị Igbo sị ada ajụ nwa ajụ. Listen, this is part of the propaganda Ndocha Bute to promote Christianity. Na Calabar. I think that Mary Celeste stopped killing of twins in Igbo land. That was not true. But they've
Thank you
sold
very
that
much.
story. They've sold that story to us. And we have internalized it as part of the advantages that we got when the British came with education to educate us. And the British loved us. But you have to ask yourself, how come the British love Arafuma? How come Nahaji Ugu Hausa? Hey, they didn't give them Christianity? How come Nahaji Ugu Hausa, they didn't convert them to Christians? But how does they gave us Christianity so that they can be able to govern us. That's why we are Christians. I'm a Christian, so I'm not against Christianity. But the truth has to be said, and we have to understand the context. The context of at the time Igbos were living with before the white people came into Igbo land. But as of today, Osu is a discriminatory this thing now in Igbo land, and it's now the culture. So we have to fight against it. So many people have fought against it. The Igwe Newi has actually abolished Osu. Actually gave his granddaughter to marry an Osu, just to say that he has abolished it. So people are abolishing it. Some parts of Igbo land don't know anything called Osu. Ogidi does not know Osu. Many places don't know Osu, even in Abia State, in so many places. So Osu is not a generally practiced because it's an ROC thing. So guys, I just wanted to say that because and let me mute my mic now.
Dalo so leader, Dalo Egaziel. If you go to may believe, Mobrundi Anambra, or may believe better. Because
Ọnịcha biko ọ bụrụ ndị Anambra
I believe because I said it
Yeah, for
earlier.
the sake of those that are not Igbos, I will speak in English.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
is.
oke ma
thank
ọ
you
bụ
very
mara
much,
Okay,
asụ
more
Manya.
Igbo
happy,
mara asụ
more
Manya,
happy,
Manya, I greet you.
I say no, for the
Hi,
sake, for
Chief,
the
I
sake of
greet
who?
you. And Goody. Yeah, you know, some people forget that. Some people forget that some of the ndị na-achụ aja, those that's SMO. Some people are forgetting that SMO has children. Some people are forgetting that SMOs have great grandchildren. Some people are forgetting that them were usoro eji eme ife n'ala Igbo. There is a way things are done, and it has been going on and on. Some people are forgetting that when Christianity came to an Igbo, and they told you that all your forefathers Jelokumo is a lie. I'm a disciple of Jesus Christ, and I know for a fact that even the Bible confirms that some of our forefathers that did good things. Now, even na Hades has compartments, and where Abraham bosom, and where different places na Hades, and when the nonga na Hades, and when the no free na Hades. Even the Bible confirms that our people, that those that were good, that lived a good life before Christianity came to Igbo land, they went to a part of Hades that was not a part of torment. That God still had his justice system on the earth. That even when God came and lived among men, at some point he had to flee to Egypt for his own safety. That there are ways things are done that can never be broken. Osu are those that have been given over. Do you know that there are very strict conditions before somebody can become close to onye na-achụ aja or come close to Ezemo and be part of those cleansing the land? Have you ever seen where they are cleansing something with something that is dirty? Go and check, go to your Igbo villages, go to the Ezemo, the original ones, and ask them, so that you will not be, it's not everything info na Google Scholar, you swallow it without going to the roots. There are strict rules and regulations before you can, in those days, before you can be dedicated. Manandiocha, when the Christianity came, obviously there will be a clash. And that is why some people are now saying that now when they serve Ekwensu, because where the clash bịazi and na-akpọzi nke ọzọ ihe wu, that's a bad thing. Meanwhile, God still had his justice system. It's just that he brought a part that will break the seal from Hades to the throne of grace direct. That is where Christ came in. So there is no single Osu person that the person did just like they say the person did a very heinous crime, and then you dedicate such a person to the deity of the land that is in charge of cleansing the land and doing truth to the land. I don't understand where people are getting that logic. Those that are the SMO are telling you the truth. You're arguing with book. There is no single super similar Hena Nibo. Not one. It's not possible. Not possible. You cannot use a dirty thing to clean something. It doesn't work that way. So because of that indoctrination from and to be honest with you, if you look back in history, if ndị church Christianity man, the good part outweighs the bad part, but the bad part, you know, many of if ever men, but just name man, if ever suffer. Many of if ever men will first suffer. No, the root of their objective can uphold. So that's what I came to address. Osu people are not people that did a bad. Those, if I na go na those things that are doing, go to the source. Go jejo those jejo ndezemo jejo fa. Give the truth to emepe ganya. Your eye will be open, you know. So that's what I wanted to say. There are very strict uh, uh, conditions for someone to be considered a priest or a servant of the priest. You have to be morally and spiritually upright. There is a selection process. You don't just go there and tell them, then tomorrow they will take you. doesn't work that way. You go through a very long time, it's not a days, 2 days, not 1 week, it's not 2 weeks. You go through cleansing yourself. I got such they will cook you and check your history. Check everybody. I check all your whole lineage. Your mona will be involved. They will check all those things and say, okay, Onya is fit enough. Onya is someone that we can listen to and we can say, okay, that Onya is someone that will not adulterate and say that they heard something. Meanwhile, they did not hear anything from Anna. So those are those people, and that's why those people they were well to do. It's just like Anna Levites in those days. They were well to do. Most of their belongings were given to them. So that's it. If there's any other, that's what I just wanted to address. Thank you.
Thank you. Ife nghọtara n'ife ikwu bụ na eze mmụọ nwere family, eze mmụọ mụrụ ụmụaka, eze mmụọ na-ata nwa. Ọ ife m na-aghọta your language ebe ị na-aga. So biko, ise
anụrụ m na eze mmụọ nọ na space ahụ eziokwu biko nụnụ.
ọsọ eze mmụọ na-ata nwa, ọ na-ebu nwa, ọ na-apụtakwa esoro anyị ekwu 500 kwuru m ọnụ m. So biko, ọ bụrụ na join anyị kịta, you're welcome again. Biko echefukwana ịsọpọtụ anyị na Lagos Igbo Hangout anyị na-abịa on Sunday. Nwaanyị nwaanyị gwa ha ife anyị nwere on Sunday. Biko zụọ afịa gwa ha ife anyị nwere on Sunday ka anyị ike gaa n'ihu.
We're having our volunteers meeting on Sunday, just in case anybody would be willing to come out and participate. Please, the floor is open. It's an open slot for anyone who would be interested, and you are in Lagos and in Igbo na Masigi, because we're asking for support, we're asking for encouragement, however you're going to support us financially, morally, however, in any form, in any way, because we appreciate it. Okay, our ticket is coming out soon, and once it's out, we're going to make it public. Everybody would have access to it. I mean, if you want to. Okay, and also our t-shirts are selling, fast selling. One this thing is sold for 20,000. So in case Oyobla Chokoraya, please, it's available for pickup. Okay, thank you for continuous support. We're looking forward to.
Alright. Ede nwaanyị nwaanyị biko dapụlụ ahụ nke a mụ na gụkwụ na anyị ego. Don't worry about it. Afụgo m onye ya eme ego my own. You can hustle for your own. Nneka biko ya esendịrị nwaanyị nwaanyị 20,000. Chibuzo sendikwuru nwaanyị nwaanyị 20,000 ka ọ bụrụ 40,000 white and black polo. Yes, Jimmy, isendịara m ihe esendịrị onye a nwaanyị nwaanyị 20k. Ọ bụrụ na ebe aba mba, you know. Yes, Jimmy, yeah, nyere him the money because I've been nyere m money at time. I'm gonna get it. All right. Lagos Igbo Hangout because on Saturday, on Sunday evening after our meeting, all ndị niile are single ebe a, people like Jimmy, ndị are single, people like John the Baptist ekwere anakpu nghọta. Anyị enwere unu space kpata mama emere unu baptizim ma ama ihe kpata ya. Anyị enwere unu space for matchmaking ka ọ gịnị. I will host one Maha is co-hosting it. She know how to handle ihe ọbụla matchmaking. Ya taga ihe m nọ dị ebe mere ka ọ tọọ ọchị. So biko ihe ọbụla a na-eme emchigunu mmadụ asụkwa na ọchị ịgba shọt ebe Nneka nọ. Don't try that. I go taking gotago. So ị nwere ike ịgba ndị ọzọ. Suya is also taking mana biko on a lighter note that day on Sunday we'll have our space. Then after that we'll talk about our hangout, our Igbo hangout again. I'm also saying again, Mazi Dal Mazi Ezoke. I'm not even nna afọ gị as my fellow title man. So biko ka anyị cool on temper before anyị gaa n'iru. Ihe onye a kwuru na Tobechukwu ọ sị na eze mmụọ na-ebu nwa. Sorry, na eze mmụọ nwere family. Eze mmụọ na-ata na ọ na-enwe affairs, you know, with human being, because ọ bụ na ya na mmụọ na-emekọ, enwere ka nwanne afọ ụmụ ha ya, mana ọ dị ka eze mmụọ na-emeti mmadụ, o metie mmadụ ọfọmụzie mmadụ. So ọ ife mụtara n'aka n'ọnụ ife okwu taa. Ka anyị nụ from Obi Adada. Obi, are you
na
there?
na high
Okay,
chief
ọ bụrụ Obi,
anọgụgọ m ebe a
sorry,
ọgwụ oge ịkpọ m.
Obi chelu ka m gwa dị man okwu, ọ marọ na eji ya agbagotego, ọ marọ ị na-achọ ikwu okwu ịgba nkịtị wetu aka na anị na-eme m expect title man dị ka na nwotu ụmụ mmadụ.
aka m dịbu n'enu since ọrụ onwe oge ịkpọ m na line.
Mụ akpọ gị na line. Ị nọ ihe ABS ka ị nọ, ị nọ Anambra Broadcasting Service ma ọ bụrụ Soludo.
Nsogbu mma tinye aka m na
Ngwa gaa n'elu ị na-aka ụgụ jel ka ọ gel anyị dị ya.
ọga ya ọga ana m akọ ugbo
Nsị ị na-akọ ụgụ, ọ bụrụ ugbo ụgụ. Soludo nwere farm ụgụ.
nna high chief nke ọ mụrụ ahụ ana m eme, mana ekene m unu. Ihe m ikwu n'okwu a bụ ife niile a na-etigasị ndị ụka, ife nji gbagota website bụ maka John the Baptist. Oge ọbịa bụ na-asị that we are all one in Christ, body of Christ, you know, n'aka ụka ka pope nwụrụ anwụ ụnyaahụ. Nna nwanne anyị ahụkwa all one in Christ, because n'ala Igbo be anyị enwe ndị ka na-agọ mmụọ, enwedo ndị na-akụ isi na ana si nọ ndị alakụba, ịghọta, nwee ndị otu anyị na-esogharị pope up and down ka ijiji, ịghọta. So we are not one in Christ nwa. So a na-akọ ife gbasara omenala Igbo sirapụ ife ụka. Ewe n'iwe, ama m na ị na-asụ nsụ, bet ewe n'iwe, biko ka m kwụcha. So anyị na-ekwu ife gbasara ife omenala Igbo sirapụ siwepụ ife ụka na ya, because ụka ife bịara abịa. Yes, I will be a Catholic, and my doctrine said I am one with the body of Christ. But ụmụnne m ga na-eme ife ndị mgbe gboo, they are not one in the body of Christ with me. Ife jikọrọ anyị omenala Igbo. Secondly, na ife osuano, bikon, let's not come and lie to people here that it is no longer in existence. That is not true. Because John the Baptist, enwere m ajụjụ, enugo nwanyị azanamo, but ọ na inubo nwanyị ịgbaga eziokwu, iji ịnụ nwanyị tata, ndị be unu ga-eje jụọ ese, whether you like it or not. So long as na ịkwa nkwụ ka ị na-eme, a ga-eje jụọ ese. And one of the first things a ga-ajụ ndị na-eje enu but awosu pump and play. They know they hide them. Imanye jikwa gị a ife ndị be anyị mere mgbe anyị ji nụta my wife, nwunye m, ndị be anyị je jụọ na ụlọ ndị osu, ndị be nke nwaanyị ajụkwa the same thing. And ahụmonye Nnewi, ahụmonye Uruagụ, ndị Ojukwu, from the lineage of Obi Uruagụ, and they still had to do jụọ the ese. So irrespective of, yes, na ndị isi anyị abịago on paper si na abolish gay, that is on paper, my brothers and sisters. So long as you go and do marriage right the traditional way, nwanne a ga-ajụ ese, and if osu pụtahakwa na ya a ga-enwe kọma. It is what it is. So ọ bụ na ị chọrọ that calamity, ọ karago mma na ị gara onwe gị na court, unu sign ocha, unu agaba, unu don't even go back to ụmụnna. Ọ bụ na egwu nke aha na-atụ unu, because that's our culture. It's unfortunate.
Nwaanyị ụmụahịa ọkwa ị na-anụ? Nwaanyị ụmụahịa ọkwa ị na-anụ ya?
It's unfortunate. It is what it is. Now, can cause one life story. Why not get this to my wife? Because when my wife go to primary school together, we go way back. In Agbago Munyem that Munia all Munia work, man,
Get your wife go primary school together.
Yes, so
Wow,
primary 4.
that's good.
I know, yeah, but I'm waiting on get this now. See, nature one of our teacher Nonye. Say yes. Some nature don't know how one, I don't know how deep for the longest time. That the reason pattern on how deal with that ndị ọmụna bịala ya di chọpụta na lineage of osu and onye na-ewikwa lineage of osu onye kpatara n'ụlọ ha di for the longest time that eventually oge ọ chọpụtara di ya ha bịa n'ụlọ ya ọ bụrụ na that particular di wukwa osu ibe ya kwa now find out where the bad omen now came from till today na woman na bụ nwa I'm not saying no maka no ya but even na agwala unu it is unfortunate these things should exist amongst us. You know, so as much as we try to be advanced and try to be progressive, let us not come and lie to people and tell them that oh, it is abolished. It's not. No, it is not. What we need to be doing is enlightening ourselves to fix the problem, because problem I know na Nigeria in general I na like izo ife eme ezo ekpuchie ife a na-emebi ọ bụrụ ka esi eme. So ọ gụtụrụ ụka ka ọ ga m n'ọnụ onye nọrọ ebe a iji nnu di na nwaanyị jedukwa eso maka ndogo daalụnụ.
All right, Obi, girl, your okwu dị mma, okwu dị mma, and I love what you said that if you are made in a simple way that now you want it is, and you keep on using the word it is what it is. Like in my place now, thank God neighbor Anambra, more boy Anambra, Ibo Navy, more boy Yorumba. Like side by now. I said it baby, you're not here when I said it side by now. Igbo Bodine and the Igwendo Orumba, some Orumba people, some kings in Orumba came together. I'm not more to one, I'm staying in Miami. So the man bought me to go see everybody, mononezi, mono, maybe married man, maybe or married man or married woman, maybe a woman, maybe okay, you are able come back home. 90 generally abolish Osu because of the way the things the amending mother affects. Igwe anyị gụrụ akwụkwọ, igwe anyị gụrụ na UNN, mechaga Brestford, ọgụkwụ na Brestford before he came back to Nigeria become Igwe. So he know all these things that na problem that. That's why he called everybody home. Now in Chabata home, everybody after the local government section, because even though Urumba Mera in the local government level, but some people quote, some people are quote. I'm not doubting that when they among quote. But in my place, after I miss everything, it's here everybody nearly Mandi Osu, Mandi Aburu Osu, everybody nearly, everybody collects. All of us we are happy. And today no bodom or whatever I can my community can now work because you said never operating one or whatever I can my community now. What they will don't know soon happen those no, we don't hear. In fact, we don't hear it again or draw Z. And they all get Igwa and I am what I was still young, go right now I'm not at my 67 years old. But by special grace of God, I'll be going to 70 years soon. But doesn't mean that mama even he did it when I was so young. Now imagine the ụmụaka sef ama ihe wụ osu again onwe ndị na-atọ onwe ha ama ha na ha na-atọ osu mana ha ya ata nwa ahụ n'ụlọ na ọ mgbe achọpụtazi na ọ bụ osu ama nta ha ama ngazi elu ya because of no marry mana ọ bụ na ọ n'ọtụta ha na-ata dị nwa. It is wrong. It is wrong. Onye ma ihe dị mma ya mee ya.
Ogbuefi, no matter how you advertise Orumba, ụmụahịa ka m na-eje.
My
So
brother,
no,
ihe ọbụla ị na-aga n'ụmụahịa ma akwụkwọ na ha na-ata anụ nkịta ahụ. So biko let's move on. Let's move on. I am go from jail. And again, jail, I will go back to my class. Can you my one of my classmates got a single? I'm gonna have to go again. Can you go from Obi?
Ibido n'oge
Now my brother.
ụgbọ ga-agafego
Ọ
ị ga-achọwazi ụmụazị eji 10 years ụtọ.
maka na m eru ego 70 years ọ bụrụ ejekwa nọmba 70 years akwa just na for you. Anyway, I'm still young. I can with energy. Yeah, Obi, can we hear from you? After Obi, we now go to
yes,
Panyule.
yes.
They were name. Thank you so much.
Karawo, my brother.
So Jimmy has been stating the obvious here, but it feels like whoever is just flying over people's heads. So Jimmy has been specifically talking about timelines. So now he said, when did this segregation of the caste started? Was it before the white men came with the colonization and also the missionary, or during the era or after? And this is the problem where people are failing to understand. Now, before I touch on this current topic, um, if you look at the Roman Catholic Church today, there are some titles, right, that they adopted from the Roman tradition and then included it into the current Roman Catholic structure. For instance, they also had these kind of people that were dedicated to the Roman deities. They had the ones that were Vestas, those ones were holy women that were virgins, and they were also secluded. They also had other priestesses as well. Then they all did their priestly duties. People came to offer them sacrifice, that's offering rams, whatever, like the Roman people were doing that of then. Then the chief priest was called the Pontifex Maximus. That's the title the current pope bears today. So basically, when they were now moving into like the modern Christianity, they just took on the title of what um, ancient Roman religion practiced, and then added it to the structure. Now, for us in Igbo land, colonization came hand in hand with Christianity. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the paper bull that justified the colonization of Africa. So basically, the guys that came in to colonize us, they were like the foot soldiers. They were basically the crusaders, and then the missionary guys that came in to also make it easier. They used different strategy, and the one they used was bastardizing our traditional practices because they just came in to revamp everything. They came to destroy whatever was in place and then indoctrinate people and replace them. So the issue of Osu, right? They did chiefly duties. That was their role before slave trade. So we saw that they were in charge of the shrines. And then there was something, I don't know, someone talked about, is it Njoku or was it Moji? I think that person is trying to also be dishonest because every Igbo land then there were farmers. They all reverend the deity called Njoku. And then the ones that were successful in their harvest, they dedicated their children. Like you even had chiefs that were dedicating their children to even become Osu. Then they started naming them, what's that name again? Umoji and the rest of them. So even chiefs, they were also dedicating their children into this thing because they also were like mediators between gods and the normal people. So basically, the people that were not dedicated into that system looked at them as spirits, like spirits amongst men. So now these guys that were coming to now bring the Christianity, they now had to bastardize it because there's no way they'll write good thing about that thing. And like, oh, they are segregating them, this and that and this. That was basically
Because
the
they were
open
not even going to church. Yeah, sorry to cut you
exactly.
short. Go ahead.
So because the one in order to get the mass population into their doctrine, they had to attack on the people that they revere the most. That was like the priestly guys, and then they bastardized it. And even the missionary guys, they were also giving people ultimatums that you have to destroy all your shrines because even as we had like a central shrine, they also had each household had their mini shrines. The ones that were farmers, they had the Njoku shrine in their homes. They dedicated their children to Njoku. Those ones started to now demolish it so that they could have the new economic crowds that the colonial guys created, and then they became church members and everything. So they also said, oh, Ekwensu, the trickster deity, is a devil. So basically, it now changed a lot of people's mindset and now became indoctrinated into Christianity. So now see these people that practice it because they could not really buy to the idea that, oh, these are the people that we revere And right now, like it's something different. Then they internalize it. Because even in India, the British did the same thing. They institutionalized the caste system. The caste system that you guys know of in India today is the British handwork. Do you get? So yes, Jimmy was basically saying we guys should look at the timeline, how these things came about. And yeah, Jimmy is right. So that's why I even came in to chip in this topic. So that's why I even shared a post from Nkuru from 2019, where there's this chief Osu of Obiaku. Then he was talking about how we were not even allowed to look at a woman, that if a woman is coming by our side, we should look away. It was also the British that came in with their policy of stripping the rights, like lands of women, because there are two crops we planted. The men did the yam, the women did the cocoyam. So the yam was basically seen like the men crop, king of the crops, and then the yam, the cocoyam for the women. The women were also traders. They also did long distance trade. So the British now came and they said, "Oh, a citizen is a person that is a titled owning man." Then they now took all the privileges and rights and institutionalized the patriarchy that we have today. So there are so many damages that the British did, and then they now was like, yeah, it's just very very complex. So yeah, so just trying to clarify now in this space. So, but today it's also true today that these people now are seen as outcasts. There's no denying that fact. But the main point of this whole my whole submission is the what it was. They were these guys that were like priestly activities, like this was what they were in charge of. So the head will be called the chief also, and then they will now have like people that are also their families dedicated them, to serve the shrine or the deity that was in that particular area. So you also saw people having names like Osueke or I can't remember those ones right now. So yeah, that's it.
Who said you should not look at woman?
Oh, like women then, right? They sometimes were semi-nude, and then you can like meet them in stream or meet them along the way. So we just like look away from it. So I put it on the screenshots there. So that one came from P.A. Talbot in 1927. So Nigerian fertility cults, page 122 to 123. I actually have a lot of these
Wait,
books.
wait. He said we should not be looking at women.
No, a chief Osu, like he was just narrating a story. So this is what it says, right? Our people are generally known by the name of aliens or because in our ancestors' time, there were many forbidden things in our parts. This was the chief also. All our women were sacred to Ale. Therefore, in olden days, no man might reach out a hand to touch a woman's leg or foot. Should a man meet a woman going to the bush, he must at once hide his eyes or pass by another way. In those days, it was a very terrible sin for any man to commit adultery. Should one fall into this crime, he was not only heavily fined, but at once made outcast. He never again was he permitted to join any company. Never again might he drink or eat with others. As regarded his own family, but because he was of their kin and they would help to collect the fine. So this was the chief also now talking about outcasting somebody else. So you can see that the Osu then was not even an outcast, he was like the priest as of then. So then when the Arona came with their own juju Arochuko, like the pilgrimage that they had. So basically, when people are going to go and serve the Arochukwu deity, the mount, what's that? This thing, rock that they had where their deity was placed in. So the Arochukwu do blocks and then kidnap people and sell them off. So even the ones that were not even um, in charge of shrines, wherever, they were also kidnapped and sold. So yes, that's just it. Anybody that's saying otherwise doesn't actually grasp like the context into everything, you know.
All right, all right. But today, do you look inside bush if you see a woman? You
Eh? If I see I go look now, normal. As you sure you get anybody that is dedicating these laws again. We don't have it now. So this is a different times, you know.
okay? Okay, no, thank you, Mr. Obi. Thank you. All right, guys, again and again, we're
Make
gonna
I no
keep.
look fine. Now why you say make I no look?
You go look woman now. Now woman go kill you, So pick on. Ndị Igbo na-ege ntị, ndị ọma na-ege ntị, lovers of ndị Igbo. Thank you guys for being here. Next 2 months, June, we're having our Lagos Igbo hangouts. MSA Finding NM, that day we'll be bringing people that will be representing each other. I inculcate everybody together. And when headache Osu, and we're table for Osu, table for them money, not table for Osu. I think one reason why this space is being held is because of can where human being and Igbo first, not Osu. We are all human beings. Nothing like Osu. Ọbụna nwe like ya nwa ọ dị gị mma, go for her. Don't go and do Osu and Osu. Mụta nwa. After all, ndị Osu nwa na-eji ego sef. Ọ na-eji ego. So alright, ha, nke a na-apụzi otekwara m welikwara aka taa na wow. Biko ka anyị nụgoro from Stanley Bobo. I will not say from Stan, I know from I will not hear from a response of Daisy then Napunze, right? Napunze in Kechi. Will not hear from you. Stan in audio.
na nwanne mmadụ anọ m ebe a ekelekwa m unu
Thank you.
ekelekwa m unu igbo mma mma nnụ
I can acquire okay. Agent.
anụ m olu onye ọbụla kwuru okwu na dis platform n'ụtụtụ a biko abụ m onye ọlụ Imo steeti, so ụmụ ihe osu a the thing dey very common on my own side. Aishif Ogbuefi ị na-ekwu maka ihe abolish ụmụ ihe osu a na emego ya abolish na your own side, but I don't think so on my own side because now I don't just know the reason why it's just like that, because this is just so unfair. Yotana, you got for why am I anything about this thing? But the stigma is there. You understand? The stigma is there around her, hovering around her. So there is this lady in my place from my own village, my own particular village. Yotana, it's all my own kindred. The man like empire of my own kindred. My kindred warned him not to marry that woman. The woman won't also or catching the Lord woman. Muzi umuna umuya niile adị adịmshọ na ndị nwoke adụgo nwaanyị beti nke ndị nwaanyị tọrọ na ya nawagị na ụmụ nwaanyị na anagwaghị na eruego ụfọdụ achụwago 40s ụfọdụ nọ 38 as I'm speaking to you. This is a very serious issue. But based on Makabiambe, I think when John the Baptist Nekuoko can join this space, and he spoke very well, and other people also spoken very well, both from Jimmy to Tobechuku and Obi. So I will just speak on the topic. It has established what Osu is all about and how it started and everything. Osu, one thing about Osu na is associated with a deity, and Christianity emego anyị hapụgo ọdịnala mebezie sorozie the white man's preaching, which is not a bad thing because me I'm also a believer of Christ. Bụkwa m onye ọdịnala kwa because I'm from a royal family, so from an ancestral stool, not even
Miss Harbor.
is that no miss?
Like
Is that
empirical checking, man.
Okay, so Umuhe Osu Ana, some people became Osu because maybe they have problems, so they have to run to the deity for protection. For those they are dedicated and all those things. So now let's fast forward to this present day and why them and Afuzi as outcasts, which is not what it is back in the day. Those days, those who we have like they have been Anafuhas, like they are elevated. They are like a mediator between the people of the land and our oracle or deity or our ancestors, like a mediator. But these days now, fast forward this day, they are now they are being seen as outcasts. Reason because of the white man, the preaching and everything. We follow the white man preaching, and now we are now stuck in between, like we don't know what is what anymore, and we are not seeing them as, you know, part of the what is the word I'm looking for now, like part of our past that we left behind. We're now seeing them as part like our past that we left behind. So now they're not being seen as an outcast. Now they are, according to when I ask, because I don't really know about this much of this whole thing, but there was a time I asked questions because I'm always closer to my root. So there was a time I asked questions, and but I get folding that as outcasts. Now, from one of Njumaka, this particular topic, also some of these deities that these people are dedicated to are very deadly deities, and Mara these deities are very jealous. They are very jealous deities, depending on the kind of deity these people are dedicated to or they are working with. And one thing about these deities is that they are not there anymore, but the spirit still lives. So when you have anything to do with these people, the deity finds a way, or the spirit finds a way to to either attack you directly or indirectly. That's most of these people that end up marrying this Osu, their lives are not always the same. I mean, like the lives are not always the same. That when you go back and check that person's life before and after, you will see that the difference is clear. So that is the reason that they have seen signs and they have seen results. That is the reason why these people are not being tagged as Osu, like as outcasts. And that is the reason why when you want to get married and maybe I guess so, and it has become a very, very big issue. So for me, I don't know like you said, Obuefi, that your own people, your Igwe has abolished it. But I want to really know, how can you abolish, like, Owe, is there like a traditional sacrifice or something that should be done in a particular place? Because I don't know for my own place now, but I'm not saying in your own place, like, a particular sacrifice or something that was done to appease something, like, appease a god or something. Because about him like this, say is abolished. Yotana. About him
Okay,
no no.
anyway, let me just chip in so that you can go on and does a quote. On family, I just want to give you this reference now. On family, on Obudom, there are like 6 family, and I prefer Osu, Yota, Amahas, Ndosu. In fact, as history even said that now, how Ono Obudai. So, and according to my grandfather, also they were not up to 6 families. Just that no one ife and then ndị obodo ndị nchọkwa join fa ara join ha willingly. But mgbe leze ka esi wee mejọ leze ka igwe si wee ka esi wee mecha the thing. Na ọ ga-akpọ for the reconciliation. Eje na arụsị obodo anyị je chụọ aja. Ịghọta, ha je chụọ aja. Nwee ndị nke eje family ha, because according to eze mmụọ na ya eje yọọ ndị emejọ ịghọta. So na ya eje mejọ ndị eje yọọ ndị emejọ eje family ndị that 6 family yọọ fa na fa ya na-azụkọzi eke. Ife ndị obodo m na-azụ bụ eke, ọfọ nsọ na-azụ nkwọ, na fa ya na-azụkọzi eke and nkwọ ọnụ, ama na-emezi ya ndị nke azụ ọta ndị nke azụ echi. Then eje ebe ahụ ngwa aga a na-akpọ mbara fa na-adị anọ, ewerezie ebe ahụ wee merezie sitin or obodo senta obodo m, like ihe a na-akpọzi ya kịta ahụ ama obodo or mbara ezi or isisi, ebe a na-abịazi eme meeting just to bring them together and to make them to be one of us. So after ayọcha ha akpọtazie ha n'ime obodo, ha nwa enyezie ha ala ruru fa n'ime obodo, like lands that belongs to them, ndị mmadụ na-arafa n'ike as of then, just to bring everybody together. ha esikwe nri ebute ha nwasie nke abute anyị nwasie nke anyị ebute anyị na fara ikozie ewee gbu ife eji wee setụlụ datin ofu efi ha nwa gburu ha nwa bịa gbuo dị efi mma ọbara pụọ ndị nke anyị ma bịa gbuo nke fe mma ọbara pụọ so the whole villages gburu dị efi mma dị efi tara ha ọfụ before ya nwụọ so ọ ka esi wee eji ọbara wee mechaa anyị in the form of human being wee yọọ ha mgbaala so anyị na ha anakọbazie till today we are living peacefully till today na agwa gị eziokwu nothing like since in fact as a matter of fact this is my 70 years old anụbeghị m ebe ekwu osu again na my village nna agwa gị eziokwu I swear I never hear osu again ma o nwere ike na-ekwu ya n'ime ebe mmadụ anọghị ịghọta mana anụbeghị m ya again like ọ dị apụtazi anyị na ha na-agbakọ bọọlụ na Disemba anyị na ha na-achụkọ nwaanyị anyị na ha na-aṅụkọ mmanya anyị na ha na-eme everything mmadụ na-eme
high
kịta
chief ka m si gwa gị ije nụ nwaanyị ka ị ga-anụ maka ya again.
anyị na nchara akwakọzi iko
Don't worry.
kịta so nna
Mma
biko gaa n'ihu ka
anyị ga-anọ na Twitter. Ije nụ nwaanyị bịa gwa anyị. I will remind you.
Okay. So Ogbuefi, I didn't try to now because I think the Akusa Kuruna is very important. Now, based on what you said now, it's in a unu traja, unu neze moment come, but what are the confirmations that shows that okay, that everything is now accepted because it's in a unu traja, unu mehifu unu kwesịrị ime the eze moment come. So what are the signs that shows that okay, now these people are now accepted that you can now associate with these people? Like what are the signs and what are
okay
the confirmations?
the science nọ ebe ahụ bụ na before anyị na fa adịghị azụkọ afịa before anyị na ha adịghị alụkọ nwaanyị and before ọ bụ na ịlụọ nwaanyị from their side anyị na-aga ama mmekọzi so and I know of families today one my friend mụ na ya kwuru taa is offspring of Osu yata but ha amụgo ụmụ na lụọ di ụmụ ha na-emekwa ihe ha na-eme na-aga n'iru nothing like that they're barren or that this thing happened to them no nke I'm not saying that onye ọbụla mere nke ahụ bụ nke ahụ no but we are living together with them and when like you don't even know who is Osu again and who is no Osu so always a na-alụkọzi nwaanyị together now you know in ajụm what is the confirmation the number one confirmation is this that we now mingle together we marry each other and we also have kids together we now have one market afia anyị na-azụ and we
ya
can
bụ
go
onye kwechi ekwe.
onye kwechi ya ekwe ịghọta I love that Jimmy ka ahụ ezigbo ife onye kwechi ya ekwe so we now do things together nwezi ya dịka like na ịchịlụ nwaanyị na ebe esi ka ije jụọ ese ma ha bụ Osu iweta that kind of topic onye like for example na mụ na gị na-aṅụ mmanya na isi mma na ga ma this guy gafere ebe a isi gị isi ma ha bụ Osu I will leave you there and go because achọghị m ihe etinye m na nsogbu ịghọta because of na etinyego ya and onwezi anya na-afụ gị asị na onye na-achọ iweta esemokwu n'obodo obodo dịgo together for many years ichi bịa saa ya and again I remember again that was last 2 years or last 3 years there was somebody abanishi because of he was mocking one woman the woman chikwu okwu ọsị ya na ya mechie ọnụ ha bụrụ Osu so achụpụ the man from obodo anyị I think 10 years ka enye ya so anything that will bring confirmation is that anything that will bring disunity in terms of that Osu side you are not they won't allow you to do that you won't even stand you'll be on your own so that's the confirmation and we marry together we live together we do everything together na onwezi ya dịka ndị a mee taa ndị a eme echi so that's the thing nwa m nwere confirmation ọzọ ịchọrọ ịnụ
Based my own understanding when it comes to information because na abịa na ihe awụ ihe mmụọ ka a na-emezi na ihe aghọzi ihe physical now ihe a na-emezi na awụ ihe mmụọ because na these people are dedicated
Stanley,
to a day.
let me try and answer you in that aspect. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, Abiana deities, and Nemo. The same way you have God and you have angels, then you have fallen angels. And a holy angel cannot be wicked. It's impossible. A messenger of God a holy angel cannot be wicked. Angels and demons are not good for thousands of years on the earth before human beings came. Most of the things that they are tying to this issue, let me now try to explain it to you how it happens based on logical and also spiritual angle. Many physical things are attributed to the spirit. For example, you will see a beautiful lady with a very good character and a very good family. Based on the fact na ndị be ha serve in a good way to the righteous God before Christianity abia goes the way to Christ, to that same righteous God. Ana say na fabosu. The lady will now extend in age. Imana ụmụ nwanyị our timeline of ịmụ nwa, of giving birth is different. Because of that stigma, you see a lady not go for long before she eventually gets married. And scientifically already, that age, onwe age oge is not the same amount of egg on a produce before Kogani produce. It's different with a man. Or if a man no good 90 years, as long as on where that's normal chukwu nyere nwoke, he can still be releasing that seed. So that's because of that long time issues, because on Afiafaru, based on the misconception, it's not easy for many of them because of the misconception that was tied to that thing. Meanwhile, the truth is clear to everybody that wants to really learn. And they jana Google scholar and then went referencing before your paper or something are they maybe accepted academically. Ị ka ga na reference those same people na-ede akwụkwọ. Imanje n'ụlọ reference ya eze nwanyị na eze mmụọ. The academic this thing has said ke your reference or eze mmụọ ke na reference. So that thing bịa mee some of them will not give birth as easy as it should be. Attack guys, this deity is fighting against them. And one of deity did good and bad at the same time. And when good, Chukwu did good, Chukwu did good and bad. Yeah, now with the bad wo ajife na fallen angels. That same fallen angels is different from demons. But I don't want to go there. I'm just trying to explain that some of those things are an attack, hey, now I'm wrong one, the rest of them. Check him with that lady, based on this misconceptional and wrong stigmatization. So that's just my explanation, Stanley, to help you understand.
And again,
Okay.
sorry, when you were just continuing, because ịmara enwe onye si na opposed to some things now this thing. Please, I will refer us to two articles opposed to there. Nke somebody called Obari. Obari is the surname. And Nke Arazu, somebody called Arazu. I don't know whether it's from one Father Imabu and Father Arazu. Please go and read those two things. You will see that it even confirmed what we are saying there. Onye post to there held a different view from even what is posted there. I'm not even sure that no Google posted there. They even confirmed there. Please go and read these articles. I want us, I can go, but I don't want to take our time too much. I can go a paragraph of so that we will see that no onye post the agrodi on a post. Go and read it. You will confirm what we are saying here.
Jimmy, because Jano go for Jimmy Guarun, Jimmy, I find a way to drag your fellow learned man. I come I cannot go to school, Kagwan. mana o nwere ịkparịga anyị na ịkparị biko Stanley biko round up ka anyị nụgoro from a woman
Okay,
ka anyị nụgoro from a but
okay.
since ị na-ekwu okwu anyị anụbeghị
Oh,
from nwaanyị.
no, there's no problem. There's no problem. No, imana no ana mutaka na muta.
Ị ga-atọ
You know,
n'amụ.
yeah, we call another game to argue, but no, makana, there's no time. That is why there's one other one I want to ask, makana. This thing is a very sensitive topic. I want does something somebody can just come and say whatever I want to say and just go away. This is a very sensitive topic, and it has been a problem for our most especially our women up in this moment. Some people are living with that stigma, and is most common in Imo State, if I'm not mistaken. The ordinary bit is more common. It's not something somebody would just wake up one morning and say, okay, let's abolish this thing. And
It's most common in maybe Olu. Don't say Imo State. There were many parts of Imo State. They have the type.
Olu na Imo State
So you make it like that now.
Okay, so
I don't know how Biyama reason unu ji buru the thing nisi because a community there we have where agbara as in unu community we buta agbara na maybe agbara suddenly ihe community set ha ga-emebilizi ya but ha ga-emebi nwa arụsị kpọọ pastor maybe arụsị but this simple thing because now they emetụta the majority now minority ka ọ na-emetụta ana-eme ya asị gị na ọ jikwade nka ihe awụ I don't know, this is just wickedness, but no worry, go ahead.
what I'm saying, we're not here to defend anything. I don't think anybody have defended this also something here. We are all speaking against it. Nobody has ever defended it. So I don't want to make it look like somebody is defending it. I'm just saying that now the thing will be a problem. And like if you now to make his own reference. So we are looking for a possible solution because it's never a good thing. But there's something else. Akosa, there's a point he made.
Biko ka m kwuo unu ka m pụọ unu iwe ewelu
Okay,
unu
so
biko
okay,
unu sorry.
so okay, you can go
Biko
on. Don't worry,
na-akwanụ
you
m
can go on.
nne ji ụmụ n'aka ka m nye ha nri abalị ka ha nakpuru.
Don't worry. Sorry. So
Biko my brother
thank you.
ị ga-ahapụ nwaanyị ji ụmụ anyị nwejikwa ụmụ ekwe
Yeah.
ị na-arụ ya ihe anyị na-ekwu ezinụlọ enwekwara m ezi nwekwanụ
Nwekwe n'ụlọ akwụfọ gị high chief. Mma mmanụ biko good evening onye ọbụla ebe ọbụla n'ụlọ ụmụnne m. Daalụkwanụ iwepụta topic a na ọ dị oke mkpa. In fact, the two people kwuru okwu kịta ekwuchago ife mba ya ukwu. Somebody ama m onye bịa tie ọnụ ebe Stony na-eme his own submission. Somebody just spoke. Ele my phone ama m onye ọbịa na-ekwu na ihe akwa na ihe mere ma a ga-enwekwa ike imebi ya. Ọ ihe m bịara ikwu because omenala Igbo lee ndị ana m ekwu ya mgbe ọbụla na-eme Igbo space if I happen to be there that ọkwụ nwa ụmụ nwoke ọkwụ men like you our ancestors yes they were human being our ndị nna nna anyị ha ndị that set all this most of this our omenala. Some of them were inspired, some of them were ihe anọkọlatara ọnụ kpaa ya ọ bụrụ omenala. Anybody nọ na this space bụ nwoke o telitere ihe eji nwoke eme biko ihe a na-aka affect ụmụ nwaanyị anyị onye ọbụla bịara ihe a na-eme submission ihe a na-akọ otu nwaanyị nke mekwere nwaanyị nke ma achọpụtakwara n'ọgwụ onwe onye na-ekwu nke ụmụ nwoke because 100% of the time the men na-akpata ego ka ahụ ha and ha na-alụ onye ha na-achọ ịlụ. Ụmụ nwaanyị anyị ka ọ na-akị affect cherenụ ka m kelee nụ di m na ọ batago nna m elola ọ nọ m na space so ụmụ nwaanyị anyị unu ga-emetụrụ anyị ebere metụrụ na anyị ebere ebe na-enu ihe high chief na-ekwu obodo mfe high chief obodo gị dị that is obodo a ga-eji ya maa atụ worthy of emulation maka Chukwu. I wish other Igbo communities will hear what you're saying. Na o siri ike ọ maka na enwebe onye mebie ya anụ but is it doable? It is. And I want to build these biases in our mind. We have to start letting it go. Even the now here as I'm a Christian, you have completely admitted that the Christianity sin or bia, and you still hold on to that belief. Even though you admitted that they were practically deceivers, how could that be a religion? Now be uniting the mad. Like they practically deceived Ainile. When you here, is there anybody that came up here as now I'm Christian bottle? Is that not what we heard? Otu ọbụla o si bata, ma ọ bụ na ha wụ whatever you think they were. Igbo eziokwu amụ onye Mbaise. Mana anụtụbeghị the most in my area because onye Mbaise na ebe a bịa kwuo ma ị nwere because I cannot speak if we do or not. Mana I know people that it affected.
Ahịara ọghọm Mbaise.
Yes.
Ahịara nwere ya na.
I nwere ndị
Ndị ọzọ
osu, I
enweghị ya.
nwere osu la
Mbaise ndị
Mbaise.
ọzọ enweghị ya.
Okay.
Ahịara nwere ya, mana ndị ọzọ enweghị ya.
I was just asking my brother now Agwam Nosu na Mbaise, but I've never heard it until
Ọ nọ n'ahịara, mana ama
Okay.
m ma ọ nọ na ndị ọzọ.
Okay. I did it, but I'm not affected. My older sister, I have very good friend. Matakiri makatara. Mgbe ha nọ second year na university onye ugwu bịara na ya my sister na-eti anyị niile na-ebe ke ka nwatakịrị mara mma like this aha ya ahụ Ngozi Ngozi gịnị na-aja alụ onye Hausa biko nụ anụtụbekwe nke a ihe a na-agba gị full blown Kanuri man ọ bụghị nke a na-asị Muslim onye Hausa wụ nke a na-asị ọwụ like ụdị Kaduna steeti wụto Christian anyị niile na-eti na-ebe in fact my mom ọ chụrụ my mother ụra because ifu Ngozi oh my goodness na mmadụ mara mma afụtụbe nwaanyị mara mma like that lady we were just shocked so she was just happy na asị mba happen no one like no one love nkewa I was very young that time but my sister her gazi marriage she's very close to my sister so her gazi na nke ha gị nọ for the wedding preparation so her knows know that lady the eve of her wedding that lady tete ote my sister na-ebezi na-akọziri my sister the reason why she has to marry onye Hausa because onwe onye Igbo ga-alụ ya. Her own older sisters, two of her own older sisters as of that time were still in their father's house, not married. Their dad owned a very huge bakery. Name more from I think their dad used to do shipping and clear forwarding and backward. Kehana, we are clearing and forwarding, forwarding and backwarding, clearing and forwarding. Then he opened the bakery. He was a very good, astute businessman that was doing very well. Two oldest daughters were never married. This was his third daughter. And he gave her away to Onyogu. She's still married today to that Onyogu with her kids and her family. Gamuzie ndị na-achararararara to this Okoneji Kuni. I mean, that's just by the way. But it's what our culture, so-called culture, is costing us. Ị na-afụkwa na ụmụnne anyị dị nke nwaanyị na-alụpụ di n'obodo ndị ọzọ. Maybe most of them is because they have no choice because we have held them down with this. Ihe na-ewute m na it doesn't really affect the men. Maka na obodo anyị amarago na ndị ji ego bịa ha ga-ajụtakwa ese mata the parents will gbachi nkịtị si ya lụrụ gawa hide their daughter to go and marry and go. People will do it because our people do worship money. Okay, baby. So biko no. I'm just speaking to the men here because unu aka ị nọ n'aka. You have the ability to end this. From which even you think your voice is not strong enough, no monagi. Somebody else might share your opinion. Somebody else might be agreeing with you, but it's not a good thing. I don't care whatever help name. But maybe let's and end it and stop the stigmatization that affects us. Bob na ebe akwa na Igbo anyị dịkwa n'ole ole ka anyị dị na anyị ga na-agụpụ some people agụpụ na ka anyị akarịgoro anyị ma na-achọgodo more people na encourage ụmụ nwoke anyị na-eso ire na anyị seed wherever you can sow the seed gbalatara na anyị ụmụ nke anyị mụtara amụta then we will cut them out cast them out n'aka nke anyị maka gịnị ka anyị were n'ọhịa anyị mgbe na-amaghị ihe that all these things happen Now that we know, I can't believe educated people coming here to try to defend it. Educated and quote unquote Christian people. Mba biko nụ, anyị na-asịkwa ọzọ eme na we have to find a way. Ọ kọrọ m n'ọnụ biko, thank you.
All right, nwa, thank you. Ịma na onwe hem chi ịgwa gị, onwe nke mere side ogbe anyị yatago. A na-asị nwa, onye a echi ịlụ ọ bụrụ hapụ onye a si mba na ọma ihe this guy mekwara ya mana ọ this guy ghọọ ya anụ. Oz leta ka anyị chọpụtara na the guy na-enye ya isi. Ịghọtago ya hụrụ ihe hụrụ akụkọ. You know, most of times anyị makwana ihe problem mụ nwaanyị anyị ịghọtago. O nwere ike na ọ bụkwa na ọ bụrụ na ihe Musa na-eche ihe Ebuka na-eche ka Musa na-eche. O nwere ike Musa can go down like more na I'm a title man. And thank you again for complimenting and saying more about my village and my people. On the Anambra, you know, I'm from Anambra State, obodo m anyị na-eme ọfụma. We are doing well. And I had the eme segregation, even though I'm a racist, I had the eme segregation n'obodo anyị. And again, I'm a title man, I can go down, ma ga nkwe down, I don't mind. Eso m na few of the title men na ala Igbo na-aga down. So nwanne gị nwaanyị ahụ, ọ bụ na anyị ma most of these girls na-asị na ama m ihe azụcha afọ were ego kponye nwoke, asị gị hapụ onye a na onye a ndị anọghị ntụlọba na-asị gị onye a kwa igurube isi mba na ịmaghị ihe ọ ma ego. Anyị achọpụtago ihe a na-eme unu. Some people adịghị enye isi, onye nke na-enye isi unu ewerezie ya snow chukwu nna. Nwanne gị nwaanyị, thank God na ọ dị happy in the marriage, you know, that is the goal, you know. Biko unu anụgoro ụmụ nwoke na nwanne anyị nwaanyị na-eme appeal. I've always listened to her spaces. She have always been speaking for women rights, you know. In ala Igbo, ọmadị tiri iwu, ọmadị ya emebi iwu. Yọta. Chukwu na-abịa nsi n'eluigwe sị anyị na ndị agha bụ osu, ndị agha bụ nka. Anyị nwa dị ahụ tinye some of these things. Ọ dị nnọọ ka ihe na nna anyị ma sị anyị na nna anyị ka mee nke a asị na nna anyị ahụ mmadụ ka ha bụ. So ọmụme ji ekwu ya maka almost everybody na-ekwu okwu ebe a nọkwa akpọ Imo steeti ahụ. Imo steeti o rukwa na taịm unu ya akpọ onwe unu meeting ma ọ nọ n'ụlọ ma ọ nọ n'ezi ma ndị nke nọ Australia lọta n'ụlọ bịa mezie ebe unu because ama m ihe ọ ya ahụ akpọ yahoo ahụ akpọ unu ahụ akpọ ndị na-ebrek ụmụ nwaanyị obi akpọ unu ahụ akpọ ndị na-agba n'iri akpọ unu taịm eruokwa unu ya abata village unu eme ekpere ogologo ọnwa ihe prayer and fasting unu eme unu akọmit go too much but that just for lighter note mmadụ ete ikwe ya personal mmadụ ete ikwe ya personal.
Yawa ya ebe ọsọ jikwa ya jụrụ yawa yo guy ogede
afụgo anụgo m ya hope ụzọ dị mma ụzọ adụ nkwa mma side be ha na-akọ bụ ebe ahụ ụzọ adụ nkwa mma na village. So biko ọ my village bụ biko ọ bụ na ịnụghị ya ọmụ ọkwụ ya ọ my village ka e mere anyị adịghị emezi osu anyị na-alụkọzi ọnwa anyị some villages
announcement akarịa
some places n'Imo steeti ịga ha na-eme osu mana ha na-atọ onwe ha. Yes, announcement akarịa agwa gị eziokwu webu na iwe. Biko onwe onye gbọtara ebe a kịta due to na onwe m na-ayọ the guy onwe information m chenu from the guy. I think I will listen to him now before Daisy. Yatago ihe a my dream country ka onye a nọ so mma like ịnụ from him before onye ọbụla nọ Imo steeti onye ọbụla na Anambra. Let's hear from Don Gento. Ọ bụrụ anyị nụsa from Don Gento, I will go back to anyị announcement akarịa ihe atagbu ọgụ na-afụ taa ebe a. Nna Don Gento, let's hear from you biko in a jiff way before we go to Daisy.
Anyway, anụgo m unu kwuru daalụkwa na unu ekwutechala ya mana a na-ekwu osu awụcha something necessary ihe tradition. We are practicing osu in our dating state. All ndị ha discrimination is part of osu. So and onye na-amaghị ihe na-amaghị aga amaghị you can ended up marrying osu without knowing that no was making. Mana ibido think wee gbasara ya osu be think wee this stigmatization or trauma mere attach ibido na-think negative. So the thing is very hard to have in ala Igbo. Mana anyị nwawu ndị ọ dịrị to find a way to stop this idea. Even in the Bible, Tobias gaga alụrụ Tobit gaga igbuchige ndị mmadụ ka ụlọ alụrụ ha nwụrụ. But after prayers and everything, he was liberated to marry the woman. The woman was liberated. So that thing is similar to Sue as well. So that look what I know, the mother but I go no bar.
All right. All right. Thank you, my brother. Thank you, my brother. Una no gonna foku. No no foku. This is kind of from you before. I say what next to do because actually my announcement my our space. I mean our program. This can you are you there?
Yes, High Chief. High Chief Naga down. I did there.
My brother down to keep my relationship healthy now. Kwa hiyo ịbata na ya dị nwunye ga-adị happy bịa mmakọ ọgwụ bịa kuru akpa gị ma nọ maka ị na-enye ya isi ịfụrọ ndị a na-adịghị enye isi ịfụrọ na ha adịghị the marriage adịghị last. Except
Ị ga-emekata ihe a ewere gị tiba n'osu nwa sef. Ike gwụrụ my brother. Ịma ihe this thing people ji like a nwere ihe people ga na-ekwu na-asị na wow ka mmadụ ga-esi like ihe ha ji uru okwu na because na the people ka wụ minority. That is why mmadụ ka agaji na-abịa sị were ihe awụ na ihe awụ ihe mmụọ nke awụ ihe nna unu awụ Christian today wu Christian. Agbara niile nna unu desara n'ụlọ unu etufuchala ya but suddenly because na this is of ihe ga-ama about human being wụla naturally human beings like ịfụ onwe ha ka ha kara onye ọzọ mma. It is unfortunate but it's part of human nature. The thing but now some of us we try to curtail that nonsense but all ihe na-eme so because na for them this table attorney go to such an extent na ha fụrụ onwe ha na ha ka ndị a mma then ikwuzi okwu ka emezie ihe a so that people ga-anọ on equal balance then enyezie gị 1,001 reason why it cannot be possible but suddenly all of enwere pastor bịara gbutuo nnukwu osisi nọ na compound unu asị na ọwụ grandfather unu 500 years ago Korea no problem with that unu mee ekpere conclude na ọ dị mma ka unu mee ya for whatever reason unu eme ya but now ihe gbasara other human beings because na how exactly member of your family or you are not feeling that pain directly then again any reason ihe stupidity my brother like dịka nsikwu arụsị ndị mmadụ na-ebute ya mgbe ụfọdụkwa a na-asị ndị Igbo na-asị arụsị ma nke esi atọ ya n'ilu egosi osisi eji wepụ ya so our culture people they change culture and I have to applaud your igwe ọhịa na mmadụ gara school ọ mmadụ ije na-akwụgharị na-asụ oyibo na ọgas all email application ihe ga better life of people right so the thing term ezigbo ụtọ sef otu isi describe chaka ezu eme and that is the simple solution mgbe e mere that law in 1956 every people may ignore because I just made as a law so again me enforce but I want each traditional ruler each I want like anọkata ofu onye gbakọ n'ofu ebe nwa nwere ike agbakọ n'Enugu ọgbakọ na nri ọgbakọ ofu ebe mba it cannot be effective each traditional ruler ihe anọ na be ha because ọwụ ebe ọbụla ka ọ dị ebe ọ dị they just make a law like mee necessary omenala ọbụla a ga-eme ndị obodo niile ekpebie mba anyị ajụ na ihe a then it's very very simple obodo niile ekpebie na ha ajụ na ya I will go new the culture change mana the whole thing now human beings like it ka other human beings be miserable because if na onye ọzọ na-eme ọfụma otu isi eme mgbe ụfọdụ ga-ekwetacha na ị na-eme ọfụma so for you if your neighbor maybe unu the 10 villages the other one village out of the 10 village was village and unu na-emegbu ha ọ na-enye joy ọ na-enye imegbu mmadụ mgbe ụfọdụ na-enye joy so ime ka ha bụrụkwa equal to you ọ ga-afịa gị ezigbo ahụ unless ma you have come up to that level where na ihe ndị ahụ awụzi part of you like that you try to suppress that animalistic nature so that is the only thing that the thing ihe a ka jidere on board n'obodo ọbụla ọ dị na-awụ na that animalistic nature of human beings to feel higher than the others, and they just try to keep it alive. That's just it. All the other reasons, the useless. That's it.
All right. Dalo, Dalo, Dalo. Thank you for when we speak up about my community. Akwana me for my two yatago. I drop on easy. I'm ezigbo mmadụ in my community because ndị ezigbo mmadụ. Ndị ezigbo mmadụ number one. Yes. Us I am a and other people are learning from us. Peace first. Peace first. Yata. Mkpụrụ mmadụ ka ụta ka ọ ya ọla echi. Yatago. Biko nụ. I nọzi na kwarapụ kịta even though na m adịghị aga ọrụ echi. That was why I'm even staying in this I'm in this place till now. Yatago. So biko Lagos Igbo Hangout is still coming up. Yatago. Biko support anyị. Um Non-conformist. I don't want to look for you. I try to make na Lagos